Chapter 96. Near the sunken ground, the king-level vicious beast's corpse was in tatters, covered in blood, and out of shape. Lord Guanjuan stood at the edge of the hole with his hands behind his back, his eyes filled with anticipation as he looked at his 6 disciples, Bei Mua, Yang Qingshan, Nan Gongfan, Feng Hanyue, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei. The 6 of them were all geniuses of the Guanjuan province city. Of course, Lord Guanjuan's attention was placed on his core disciple Bei Mua. A chance? Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as he thought about what Lord Guanjuan had just said. On the way here, Zhao Feng had clearly seen Lord Guanjuan and the hooded figure's expressions, but he couldn't hear their conversation. "Dare I ask, Master, what do you mean by opportunity?" Feng Hanyue asked, unable to hide the curiosity and surprise on his face. Being able to become Lord Guanjuan's disciple when he was in the Sky Guards battalion was a huge opportunity for him to change his fate. Hearing his words, Yang Qingshan, Nan Gongfan and the others were all curious and eager. "This chance is related to the wish I've always wanted to fulfill," Lord Guanjuan sighed lightly as his eyes floated into the distance. His face was filled with complex emotions of regret and expectation. Being the lord of the Guanjuan province city and a legend of the Cloud Country, Lord Guanjuan had always lived in seclusion. When had he ever seen such emotions in his eyes? Zhao Feng had also seen similar emotions in the spiritual martial hall. But at that time, Lord Guanjuan's emotions had only flashed by and only he had seen it. That day, Zhao Feng had asked Lord Guanjuan what was his goal in gathering geniuses. Lord Guanjuan's answer was that it was all because of a wish. Wish? What was Lord Guanjuan's wish? A wish that even he couldn't fulfill and could only be fulfilled by the younger generation. Tang. So. At this moment, some top warriors nearby, including Yi Linyun, Commander Heng, and the others, rushed over. Lord Guanjuan slowly raised his hand, signaling them to leave. Yi Linyun, Commander Heng, and the other peak cultivators felt suspicious. However, they did not hesitate and immediately left. This scene made Zhao Feng and the other youths realize that Lord Guanjuan had something important to say. "Did you see that mysterious bamboo hat man just now?" Lord Guanjuan seemed to be changing the topic. "Yes, last time in the Sky Cloud Forest, disciple," Zhao Feng answered immediately. Amongst the youths present, only Zhao Feng and Bei Mua had seen the mysterious hooded man. Zhao Feng had even seen it twice. "Oh?" Lord Guanjuan looked at Zhao Feng in surprise and asked, "What do you think of his strength?" "Very strong." Zhao Feng thought back to the 2 times he had seen the mysterious hooded man fight and he couldn't help but shiver. Lord Guanjuan smiled faintly, then, "Who do you think is stronger between him and me?" This, Zhao Feng paused, he didn't think that his master would ask such a question. Under the mental energy of a sacred realm grandmaster, Zhao Feng said, "If it's just based on instinct, disciple feels that the opponent isn't weaker than master, and might even be stronger." With the mysterious left eye, Zhao Feng's judgment of strength was very sharp and accurate. His answers just now were all reserved and tactful to a certain extent. "Zhao Feng. What did you say? How dare you look down on master and make the enemy angry?" Nan Gongfan immediately scolded. Bei Mua, Yang Qingshan, and Feng Hanyue all frowned. Obviously, they weren't satisfied with Zhao Feng's answer. In the Cloud Country, Lord Guanjuan stood at the peak of power and power. He was an invincible legend in the hearts of tens of thousands of fighters. As the disciple of Lord Guanjuan, how could he give such an unconfident and pessimistic answer? Of the group, only Zhao Yufei believed Zhao Feng's words without a doubt. This came from a kind of trust that even she could not understand. Zhao Feng's answer surprised Lord Guanjuan and he looked at him a few more times. This was the first time Lord Guanjuan had looked at him so seriously ever since he became Lord Guanjuan's disciple. Nan Gongfan and the others were all shocked. Master didn't seem unhappy at all and instead seemed to value Zhao Feng even more. "Tell me the truth, that's your judgment." Lord Guanjuan stared at him. Zhao Feng felt the pressure as he thought back to the times he met Lord Guanjuan and the hooded man. After a while, he took a deep breath and said seriously, "The strength of the hooded man should be above master." What? The expressions of Nan Gongfan, Yang Qingshan and the others changed. Even Bei Moi was shocked. This Zhao Feng, how dare he? Of course, this is just disciples' feeling. Zhao Feng added as he felt the unhappiness in Nan Gongfan's eyes. He's right, that person's strength is indeed above mine. Lord Guanjuan's voice sounded as he looked at Zhao Feng with surprise and praise. How is that possible? Who else in this world has the strength to defeat master? Nan Gongfan couldn't accept it. Yang Qingshan and Feng Hanyue had similar expressions. When they became Lord Guanjuan's disciple, their master was an invincible lord who stood at the peak of the country. Not only that, that person can control multiple king-level fierce beasts at the same time, and lead many times more high-level fierce beasts and wild beasts to attack Guanjuan Prefecture City. Under such circumstances, even master would not be able to reverse the destruction of Guanjuan Prefecture City. Lord Guanjuan took a deep breath as he said seriously. Controlling multiple lord-level deadly beasts? Bei Moi and the others couldn't believe what they were seeing. The terrifying beast horde and the lord-level deadly beasts were indeed controlled by this person. The hooded figure's blue eyes appeared in Zhao Feng's mind again. Master! How can there be such a terrifying person in the world? And why didn't he continue to attack the Guanjuan province city? Yang Qingshan also couldn't accept it. The 6 youths all looked at Lord Guanjuan's face. The world you know is only the tip of the iceberg, the holy martial path is only the beginning. Even someone as strong as that person wouldn't dare to go against the rules of the 13 clans. Lord Guanjuan smiled. The holy martial path was only the beginning. Bei Moi and the other 5 were speechless. Today, Lord Guanjuan's words could be said to be shocking, everyone could only understand a little bit of it. But at this moment, Zhao Feng felt his blood boil and his heart tremble. Suddenly, he thought of the 3 youthful girls he saw in the Blood Python Canyon. The 3 of them were all very young and any one of them could instantly kill the azure-eyed giant wolf whose strength was above the 8th rank. And looking at the situation back then, the other 2 didn't even care about the azure-eyed giant wolf and the youthful girl obviously didn't have any battle experience. Compared to the 3 of them, Bei Moi was slightly weaker. From that day onwards, Zhao Feng understood how big the world was and how there were many unknown existences that he couldn't come into contact with. In your eyes, the holy martial path is the peak of the legends. The Cloud Country's emperor and marquises control tens of thousands of miles of land. The 13 countries and the 2 strong countries are all similar or even stronger countries. But all of this isn't the truth. Lord Guanjuan's words contained a hint of self-mockery. But what he said was what most of the cultivators were thinking. That's right, this was what Zhao Feng knew back when he was in Greenleaf Village and Sun Feather City. In the 13 nations of Horizontal Cloud, the true rulers are not the monarchs, nobles, nor are they the high and mighty sage realm grandmasters, nor are they those great inherited families. The true rulers are the 13 sects that stand above everything in the secular world. As Lord Guanjuan said this, the light in his eyes became sharp, as if he could slash through the air. 13 clans? Zhao Feng and the other 5 looked at each other. Clans. 13 clans. The superpowers that ruled over everything. Why had they never heard of them before? Especially Zhao Feng, he came from a small branch family in Greenleaf Village. In his eyes, Sun Feather City was a prosperous city with many geniuses and experts. The Zhao family was even more of a colossus. As his martial arts cultivation increased, his horizons gradually widened. He entered a higher-level county city and learned about the 13 countries alliance. He also learned about the 2 strong countries that were 10 times stronger than the Cloud Country. This was especially so for the 2 great countries. Any one of them could easily destroy the Cloud Country and even the 13 other countries. The alliance of 13 countries, including the Cloud Country, had to unite together in order to survive in the gap between the 2 powerful countries. But all of this wasn't the truth. Master, exactly how powerful are those 13 sects? Even such a huge country is ruled by them? Nan Gongfan said in disbelief. These sects have mastered the true meaning of life cultivation, said Nye Tian. Each clan only has a few hundred people, but they control the fate of a country. If you want to know how strong they are, I was an outer disciple of the Broken Moon clan and hadn't even entered the inner core. Lord Guanjuan sighed. Outer disciple? Bei Moi and the others were left dumbfounded, their faces filled with terror. Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan shook their heads, not daring to accept this. Someone as strong as Lord Guanjuan is only an outer disciple of a clan, just like how I used to be in the Zhao clan. Waves crashed in Zhao Feng's heart. There was no need to question how strong the clan was, just the fact that Lord Guanjuan was an outer disciple was enough to prove it. After knowing the truth, the 6 youths felt as if their souls had left their bodies. Their achievements were great in the Guanjuan province city, but compared to the clans, they were like ants. In the eyes of the clans, those at the 9th rank of the martial path were like ants under their feet. The two were on different levels, just like how humans wouldn't interact with ants. The clan that the Cloud Country has entered is called the Broken Moon clan. It is above the mortal realm and some of the peak existences are even higher than the Holy Martial Path and they have the power to rule over the world. As Lord Guanjuan said this, admiration and respect appeared in his eyes. Chapter 97. Broken Moon Clan. This was the clan that Lord Guanjuan used to be in. At that time, he was an outer disciple of the Broken Moon clan. When mentioning the Broken Moon clan, Lord Guanjuan's voice trembled as he couldn't control the excitement in his heart. One could imagine what kind of extraordinary power the transcendent existences of those sects possessed. They stood above the mortal world. Even Lord Guanjuan's wish must be related to it. Master's wish and our opportunity, are they all related to this transcendent sect? Nan Gongfan's voice was filled with excitement. After learning about the existence of sects, they were a bit shocked at first and found it hard to accept. However, soon after, yearning and expectation grew in their hearts. Maybe I'll have the chance to come into contact with that unknown world. Zhao Feng's mind once again replayed the scene of the 3 in the Blood Python Canyon. The excitement and anticipation in his heart wasn't any weaker than Nan Gongfan's. I came from the Broken Moon clan, but because I couldn't reach the Holy Martial Path before the age of 30, I lost the right to enter the Inner Disciples, so I left to help the clan manage the mortal world. Because of this, I still keep in touch with the clan. Speaking up to here, Lord Guanjuan's voice paused for a second before throwing out another piece of important news. According to what I know, the entrance exam of the Broken Moon clan will start in 2 months. Entrance exam. The eyes of the 6 youths lit up. Bei Moi, Yang Qingshan and company couldn't control the excitement and anticipation on their faces. The entrance exam was held once every 5 years and it was in 2 months. The entrance exam of the Broken Moon clan is open to the entire Cloud Country and even the surrounding countries can participate. The youths that will participate will come from all over the country, including the province cities and some hidden families. Some of these families even have power that surpasses the Guanjuan Palace. The competition will be fierce and the geniuses from all over the country will gather. I'll try my best and I can barely recommend a few people to participate in the entrance exam. Lord Guanjuan explained the situation of the entrance exam. Geniuses from all over the country will compete to join the Broken Moon clan. Zhao Feng and company felt their blood boil. Even Bei Moi was filled with battle intent. In Guanjuan City, among the youths of his generation, his talent and strength stood at an unsurpassable height. It could be said that he was invincible and lonely. But if he could join the Broken Moon clan, he would be able to compete with those peerless geniuses. In 2 months, the entrance examination will begin. I have 3 recommendations in my hands. You must seize this opportunity. Lord Guanjuan looked expectantly at the 6 disciples in front of him. 3 spots? Zhao Feng and the others were startled. Even if they were in the same sect, they would still face competition. Of course, Lord Guanjuan had many disciples, but the entrance exam of the Broken Moon clan had an age limit and was aimed at geniuses. Therefore, Lord Guanjuan didn't let Yi Linyun and the others come. The age of Yi Linyun and company were all above 30, and the rules of the Broken Moon clan stated that if one couldn't break through to the holy martial path before the age of 30, they would lose the right to become an inner disciple and wouldn't be able to reach higher levels. This meant that Zhao Feng and company would have to fight for the 3 spots in Lord Guanjuan's hands. The beast horde is over, return to the Guanjuan palace and we'll reward you according to your battle merits. After saying that, Lord Guanjuan's figure flashed and disappeared from where he stood. So, with the naked eye, all that could be seen was a silver afterimage that swept across the void and instantly flew to the edge of one's field of vision. Master has ordered me to take you to the spiritual martial hall and reward you according to your battle merits. Yi Linyun's figure flashed in front of the 6. Zhao Feng and the others nodded their heads and followed Brother Yi back to the Guanjuan palace. On the way back, Feng Hanyue seemed to have something on his mind as he looked at Bei Moi, Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan. There were only 3 spots in Lord Guanjuan's hands, and Bei Moi, Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan were all at the 8th rank of the martial path and above. Compared to them, Feng Hanyue, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei weren't good enough. I should be able to get 1 spot if I try my best. Zhao Feng calculated in his heart. After the beast horde, his strength had increased and the faint green light in the dimension of his left eye had reached 7'8", even nearing 7'9". He had no chance of beating Bei Moi, since the latter had the strength to kill 9th ranks. But to beat Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan, Zhao Feng had a 60 and 70% chance respectively. Furthermore, there was still 2 months until the entrance exam, so Zhao Feng still had a lot of room to improve. The 6 of them used their movement techniques and soon returned to the Guanjuan palace. Spiritual Martial Hall. Master is waiting inside. Yi Linyun was already standing in front of the door. His cultivation had reached the peak 9th rank, so his speed was the fastest. The second to arrive was Bei Moi, who had already entered the hall. After him was Yang Qingshan, Nan Gongfan and Zhao Feng. Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan were slightly surprised by Zhao Feng's speed and aura. Soon, Bei Moi and the 6 disciples arrived at the spiritual martial hall. Lord Guanjuan sat on the cushion as he scanned the 6 disciples. On his left and right were Yi Linyun and First Guard. Everyone was familiar with Yi Linyun. First Guard was the strongest and mysterious figure of the Guanjuan Corps. His cultivation had reached the half-step holy realm and he was even stronger than Third Guard. Because Third Guard had been injured and crippled while fighting against the king-level vicious beast, he had lost an arm, so First Guard had temporarily replaced him. How's the battle points? Lord Guanjuan asked. Master, according to the Guanjuan Corps and the guards, the battle points of the 6 disciples have been shown. First Guard bowed and took out a small book. Lord Guanjuan didn't take the book and said, "Read it out." Yes. First Guard took the book and read the numbers. First, Zhao Feng, 465 battle points. Second, Bei Moi, 403 battle points. Wait. Lord Guanjuan's expression changed as he stared at First Guard. Isn't Bei Moi first? As a matter of fact, the other geniuses were in disbelief when they heard the announcement of the winner. How could Bei Moi not be first? Even Lord Guanjuan was doubtful. At this time, the spiritual martial hall fell into silence. Yang Qingshan, Nan Gongfan and the others looked at each other. Bei Moi's expression was ugly as he clenched his fists. Impossible, I don't believe it. Reporting to Master, Zhao Feng helped kill the Golden Beak Eagle King in the beast horde and contributed a lot. Yi Linyun reminded in a low voice. How many battle points does he get for killing the Golden Beak Eagle King? Lord Guanjuan asked. Guard 1 hurriedly replied, killing ordinary high-level vicious beasts will earn you 20 to 60 battle merits. However, the Golden Beak Eagle King's strength was comparable to the peak of the 9th rank and was extremely difficult to kill. It was one of the most difficult peak-tier deadly beasts to kill. Therefore, killing it will give you 100 battle achievements, 100 battle points. Bei Moi and the others' expressions changed. Even if he was lucky enough to kill the Golden Beak Eagle King, his battle points would be ridiculous. Tell me about the other people's battle merits. Lord Guanjuan said calmly. Yang Qingshan, 195 battle points, Nan Gongfan, 181. First guard then reported the battle merits of the other people. Obviously, starting from Beimoi, none of them had more than 200 battle points. Even if Xiao Feng didn't get 100 battle points from killing the Golden Beak Eagle King, he still had 365 battle points, which was much higher than Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan. According to logic, Xiao Feng's battle points should be around 100 or so. However, his final battle achievement points were 465, firmly in first place. That's impossible. Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan both shook their heads. Beimoi sneered coldly, he believed that his master would get justice for him. Was there a mistake somewhere? Lord Guanjuan's eyebrows furrowed. Under normal circumstances, he didn't doubt the Guanjuan Corps' ability. But this time, it had exceeded everyone's expectations. Master, there's no mistake. Even if there was a mistake, it would be very small. First guard said decisively. Saying so, he flipped open the book and there was a detailed record. Xiao Feng's archery skills are superb and he's killed 70 to 80 flying beasts with just his bow alone. That's an average of 2.5 battle points for each. Just this alone is more than 200 battle points. Adding on the Golden Beak Eagle King, it's more than 300 battle points. First guard stated the battle points on the book. The source of the battle points were all explained. Oh? Great archery skills? Lord Guanjuan was slightly surprised and he looked at Xiao Feng again. Regarding this, Commander Heng, and the other sharpshooters on the city wall can all testify to this. Yi Linyan added. And, that shouldn't be a problem. Lord Guanjuan didn't doubt her words. Next was Xiao Feng's remaining battle points. After killing the flying beasts, he gained more than 100 battle merits in the remaining half of the time. One had to know that Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan had only earned 180 war points in the 200 years that he had been here. Their cultivation was higher than Xiao Feng's. I don't believe it. Nan Gongfan shook his head in disbelief. Xiao Feng's battle sense is extremely strong and when he fights with his bare hands, he is able to find an opening and hit the deadly beasts. His speed and efficiency are twice as fast as his peers. In this aspect, even the elites of the Guanjuan Corps can't compare to him. He's a natural-born warrior and killer. Saying so, First Guard looked at Xiao Feng with a complicated expression. Yi Linyan smiled brightly. In the last mission, Xiao Feng also got first place with his 6th rank cultivation. Up until now, Xiao Feng had a total of 465 battle points. Lord Guanjuan didn't have any more doubts as he looked at Xiao Feng with joy. I didn't think that I would have such a genius under my wing. His archery skills and close combat skills are at the same level. He was very clear about the Guanjuan Corps' ability and it was almost impossible for there to be any mistakes. What kind of monster is this kid? Beimoi clenched his fists, unwilling to accept this. With his talent and the strength of Lord Guanjuan's core disciple, how could he lose to an outer disciple whose cultivation was lower than his? Yang Qingshan, Nan Gongfan and Feng Hanyue were all stunned as they inspected Xiao Feng weirdly. Only Zhao Yufei had a smile on her face, she wasn't surprised at all. After receiving their battle points, the 6 youths left. Only Lord Guanjuan, First Guard and Yi Linyan were left in the spiritual martial hall. What else do you want? Lord Guanjuan asked. First Guard took a deep breath. Master, Xiao Feng's real battle points aren't 465, but 565. Out of consideration, I hid 100 battle points from him. Chapter 98. Master, Xiao Feng's true battle points isn't 465, it's 565. Out of consideration, I didn't tell him 100 battle points. First Guard's words were shocking. Is that true? A light flashed in Lord Guanjuan's eyes and an invisible mental energy pressure made First Guard and Yi Linyan feel uneasy. Absolutely. First Guard said without hesitation, no matter if it's killing flying beasts or killing beasts with his bare hands, Brother Zhao's battle points are more than what he said. Hearing this, Lord Guanjuan and Yi Linyun looked at each other with joy. Brother Zhao's battle sense is extraordinary and he's good at both close and long-range combat. Even if we throw away the difference in cultivation level, I'm still not his match. First Guard's voice had a hint of bitterness. Being a half-step Holy Realm cultivator and the #1 figure of the Guanjuan Corps, his words couldn't be underestimated. First Guard felt that he wasn't as good as Zhao Feng's battle talent, at least when they were at the same level, he wasn't as good as Zhao Feng. Master. Disciple told you before that you wouldn't regret taking Zhao Feng as your disciple. Yi Linyun had a smile on his face. He had always had high hopes for Zhao Feng, and Zhao Feng had never disappointed him, even surpassing his expectations time and time again. Lord Guanjuan soon remembered that he was hesitating whether or not to take Zhao Feng as his disciple. After all, Zhao Feng's talent was only a half-spiritual body. Luckily, Yi Linyun had recommended him and he accepted Zhao Feng as an outer disciple. Now it seemed that his decision was correct. Zhao Feng is indeed not bad, his battle skills are perfect. Lord Guanjuan said regretfully, unfortunately, his half-spiritual body limits his potential and he won't be able to catch up to true spiritual body geniuses. Out of all the disciples, only Bei Moi has the chance to fulfill my wish. Lord Guanjuan's face was full of regret. It was obvious that although Zhao Feng's performance was outstanding, Lord Guanjuan didn't have high hopes for him. Towards Lord Guanjuan's conclusion, First Guard didn't say anything. Yi Linyun wanted to refute, but she was powerless to do so. Indeed. Zhao Feng's performance had already exceeded everyone's expectations, but no one had ever thought that he could replace Bei Moi, let alone surpass him. After leaving the Martial Spirit Palace, Zhao Feng's face was filled with joy as he headed straight for the Treasury Hall. The other senior martial brothers, Nan Gongfan, Yang Qingshan, and Feng Hanyue, were all jealous and envious of Qin Fan. Bei Moi's expression was the worst. Ever since he was young, he had been a super genius in the eyes of the world. Among his peers, no one had ever surpassed him. It was like this in the village, in the small city, and in the county capital. However, ever since he met Zhao Feng, this record had been broken time and time again. Zhao Feng, you are indeed not simple. If you have the guts, let's go to the sect and have a showdown. Bei Moi's expressionless face had a rare red glow as battle intent surged in his eyes. Was this Bei Moi's challenge? Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan were both shocked. They had never seen Bei Moi challenge anyone in the same generation as him, because all the geniuses of the same generation were far behind him. Sure. Zhao Feng agreed with a solemn expression. To be honest, he felt pressured facing a super genius like Bei Moi. But this was good as well, regardless of the outcome, he could squeeze out all of Bei Moi's potential. After saying goodbye to Bei Moi, Zhao Feng went to the Treasury Hall with 400 battle points. With his battle merit points, he could exchange them for martial arts manuals, spiritual materials, elixirs, divine weapons, and other precious resources in the Treasury Hall. I have so many battle points, how should I distribute them? Zhao Feng fell into deep thought. Martial arts manuals. Zhao Feng felt that he didn't lack any. His main skills were silver wall technique and returning breath technique. One was holy, while the other was close to holy. Other skills such as lightly floating fairy and smoking shapeless steps could be upgraded to the Saint tier with the help of the flowing wind form. From the looks of it, Star Finger was the lowest ranked martial art. Star Finger is one of the best martial tactics among all martial tactics. It can almost be classified as a half-saint grade martial tactic. Coupled with the tornado stance, it can surpass an ordinary half-saint grade martial tactic. If I cultivate it to the 7th level of perfection, I'll be able to suppress even a saint grade martial tactic. After all, it's hard to train a holy martial art to a high level. Zhao Feng started to analyze. He finally decided not to change to other offensive martial arts. This was because he could only redeem a half-saint grade martial tactic with his battle merit. He could not redeem a saint grade martial tactic. Just like that, Zhao Feng decided not to exchange for martial arts manuals. His focus was on the spirit materials and pills of heaven and earth. Silver Wall Technique was the highest-ranked martial art, and the 9 ranks of the martial path focused on the foundation of the body. Zhao Feng remembered Lord Guanjuan and Yi Linyan's words. If that's the case, why don't I go to the extreme, and focus on body-strengthening martial arts? A cold light flashed in Zhao Feng's eyes as he decided to go all out. He immediately entered the 1,000 Medicine Pavilion in the Treasure Pavilion. There were many pills in the 1,000 Medicine Pavilion, as well as a small amount of spiritual materials. Zhao Feng's main goal was to find pills that could help with body strengthening. Chilling Snow Body Pill uses cold energy to refine the body. It is one of the best pills for the 9 ranks of the martial path. Use it with caution if you are below the 8th rank. Burning Sun Bone Pill uses the power of the sun to refine the bones. It is one of the best pills for body strengthening, and if used with the Chilling Snow Body Pill, it will be much more effective. Golden Body Refining Powder, it is the king of body strengthening pills. It can destroy metal and bones, and if used by someone of the 8th rank of the martial path, there is a 50% chance that they will be crippled. Soon, Zhao Feng decided on the 3 best pills. 1 Chilling Snow Body Refining Pill cost him 120 battle points. 1 Burning Sun Bone Refining Pill cost him 119 battle points. The last Golden Body Refining Powder cost him 167 battle points. Just these 3 items alone had costed more than 400 battle merit points. One had to know that a peak-ranked martial art only cost 10 battle points, and a half-holy ranked martial art only cost 50. The remaining dozens of battle points were used by Zhao Feng to exchange for some lower-ranked body-strengthening resources, but they were at least comparable to the bone-refining powder he had bought in the Medicine Pavilion. Because the Chilling Snow Body Pill and the other 2 pills were too strong, Zhao Feng needed some time to adjust. On the same day, Zhao Feng spent all his battle points. His few hundred battle points had been used to exchange for more than half of the body-strengthening resources in the Treasury Palace. In the Guanjuan Palace, not everyone could get battle points, and even if they could, there was a limit. But being the disciple of Lord Guanjuan, he had a higher ratio. For example, other people needed 170 battle points to exchange for a Chilling Snow Body Pill, but Zhao Feng only needed 122. Even if cultivators of the 7th or 8th rank had enough battle points, they might not be able to exchange for these top-tier items. Leaving the Treasury Palace, Zhao Feng returned to his own courtyard and started to cultivate. In the next month, he focused on Silver Wall Technique. In the first 7 days, he used some lower-ranked body-strengthening resources that were at least on the same level as the bone-refining powder, which was suitable for cultivators of the 7th rank and above. The body-strengthening pills that Zhao Feng exchanged for were of different attributes. For example, the Chilling Snow Body Pill was of the cold attribute, the Burning Sun Bone Refining Pill was of the fire attribute, and the Golden Body Refining Powder was of the metal attribute. In this way, he could combine different attributes to avoid the overlapping of the medicinal properties and the development of drug resistance, thus obtaining the greatest medicinal effect. 7 days later, Zhao Feng's Silver Wall Technique broke through to the 7th level. But this also used up all the body-strengthening resources. Now, I can suppress cultivators of the 7th rank with just my physical strength. Zhao Feng could feel the explosive power in his bones and flesh with every movement. With one punch, he could kill any cultivator of the 7th rank and below. Even cultivators of the same rank would be injured. Next, Zhao Feng only had the Chilling Snow Body Pill, the Burning Sun Bone Refining Pill and the Golden Body Refining Powder left. According to the order, he first ate the Chilling Snow Body Pill. After eating the pill, a terrifying cold energy covered Zhao Feng's body. For 3 days and 3 nights, his body was frozen and he couldn't move. The danger was unimaginable. No wonder this pill says that cultivators of the 8th rank and below should use it with caution. Zhao Feng finally solved the danger after 3 days and 3 nights. The Chilling Snow Body Pill's effect was only half gone, but Zhao Feng could feel his Silver Wall Technique improving by leaps and bounds. It was at least half a year's worth of body strengthening. The pill's effect wasn't over yet, so Zhao Feng ate the burning sun bone refining pill. When the two pills were used together, it could be said to be the combination of ice and fire. It made the body suffer, but the effect was indeed better. Zhao Feng circulated his silver wall technique and returning breath technique to the extreme, and he could feel his body strengthening speed up. Thump. 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 From his left eye came a rapid beating sound, and a strange warmth spread throughout his body. The mysterious left eye had improved his body, and the speed at which he absorbed the pill was much faster than normal people. 7 days later. The two pills, one cold and one fire, had been digested. Whew! Zhao Feng let out a long breath and he slowly stood up. He could feel that his muscles, bones, and skin had become tougher. The strength of his physique had spread from his skin to his organs. The strength of his organs had greatly increased his body's quality, and he could use more inner force. The body's foundation is indeed different. I didn't purposely practice the returning breath technique, but I could feel my inner force and cultivation increasing. Zhao Feng exclaimed in his heart. At the same time, his cultivation had reached the peak of the 7th rank, and he was only half a step away from the 8th rank. At the same time, Zhao Feng's silver wall technique had reached the peak of the 7th level with the help of the two fire and cold pills. Silver wall technique had reached the 7th level, which strengthened his organs and stimulated his body's potential. Ha! Zhao Feng yelled as he merged the returning breath technique into the silver wall technique. Buzz! All of a sudden, a layer of hazy, translucent silver light shield appeared on the surface of his body, producing a heavy oppressive aura that was enough to make an ordinary martial artist shudder. The silver air barrier was formed. Chapter 99. After mastering the silver aura shield, it could form an omnidirectional protective layer on the surface of the body. Its defensive power was extremely strong, and it could pass through thousands of soldiers and horses. Even when facing thousands of arrows piercing the heart, it could still retreat calmly. At this level, one could basically ignore human wave tactics. Of course, although the silver air barrier's defense was strong, it also had a fatal weakness. It consumed a lot of energy. Normally, cultivators of the 7th rank could only use the silver wall technique for a dozen breaths. They would only use it at the most critical moment. However, Zhao Feng's cultivation had reached the peak of the 7th rank, and he also had the returning breath technique, so his inner strength was more than double that of others of the same rank. Therefore, his silver air barrier could last longer. It could last for 20 to 30 breaths. Now that my silver wall technique has reached the peak of the 7th level, I can challenge the 8th rank of the martial path with just my physical strength. With the silver air barrier, the 9th rank of the martial path won't be able to hurt me in a short period of time. Zhao Feng evaluated his own strength. It would be hard for him to meet a worthy opponent under the 9th rank of the martial path, unless it was someone like Bei Moi who had trained a few holy martial arts to a high level. In the next few days, Zhao Feng focused on consolidating the silver wall technique and absorbing the remaining energy in his body. As a saint-grade body tempering art, the silver wall technique had all sorts of profound techniques that were based on the use of one's body. 4 to 5 days later, Zhao Feng had absorbed all the energy in his body and had a deeper understanding of the silver wall technique. At this moment, his silver wall technique had reached the 7th level and was close to the 8th. If I use the golden body tempering powder right now, as long as I can withstand the effects of the medicine, my silver wall technique will definitely reach the 8th level. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled. After thinking for a long time, he didn't do it. Firstly, the energy of the golden body strengthening powder was too strong. Even cultivators of the 8th rank of the martial path would be crippled if they used it. The energy of this powder was half a level higher than the chilling snow body pill and burning sun bone refining pill. It was extremely dangerous for Zhao Feng to use it now. Secondly, if he continued to use external items to refine his body, there would be a negative effect. Therefore, Zhao Feng did not immediately consume the treasure gold body tempering powder. Instead, he relied on his own strength to slowly cultivate. He spent the next few days practicing the silver wall technique. While cultivating, Zhao Feng could also learn the 4 wind stances and mysterious wind palm in the dimension of his left eye. After the beast stampede, Zhao Feng's potential was squeezed out once again. Be it the 4 wind forms or the mystic wind palm, he had made great progress. As time passed, Zhao Feng fully comprehended the second style of the 4 wind styles, tornado style. The tornado style could increase one's might and create an area of effect impact. It was a clear addition to one's attacks. When Zhao Feng merged the tornado stance into his star finger art, it was comparable to a saint-grade offensive martial art. If the tornado stance were to be merged with the profound wind palm, it might even surpass ordinary saint-grade martial skills. Next, Zhao Feng started to comprehend the third style of the 4 wind stances, partial wind stance. The partial wind stance was a partial offensive holy grade martial art, and it was as profound as the mysterious wind palm. It wasn't hard for Zhao Feng to comprehend, but it wasn't easy either. On this day, Zhao Feng's understanding of the partial wind stance had reached 30 to 40%, but he reached a bottleneck and stopped. He closed his eyes and found that he had comprehended more than half of the holy grade martial arts. Mysterious wind palm, basic understanding. Of the 4 wind stances, third style. Compared to him, star finger was much easier to comprehend. Zhao Feng only needed to cultivate a bit and his star finger had reached the 6th level, which was only 1 level away from the 7th level. Zhao Feng was able to comprehend the profoundness of the martial arts because of the mysterious left eye, which greatly increased his mental energy, comprehension, and analysis. There's only a month left until the clan's entrance exam, and my silver wall technique is still a bit away from reaching the 8th level. Zhao Feng murmured to himself. Right now, he was focusing on body strengthening skills, cultivation was secondary. As long as the foundation of the body was strong, the rest of the cultivation would be twice the result with half the effort. Therefore, Zhao Feng didn't purposely increase his cultivation, or else he would have reached the 8th rank by now. However, the higher the level, the harder it was to improve. Zhao Feng let out a long breath and walked out of the building. He went to the garden to relax his body. The efficiency of just cultivating wasn't high. Sometimes, relaxing could be beneficial for cultivation and breaking through bottlenecks. Young Master Zhao, a few days ago, young Master Bei Moi sent someone to invite you to a banquet. The servant said respectfully. Bei Moi. Banquet? Zhao Feng felt that it was strange. Why was there a celebratory feast? The servant replied, a few days ago, young Master Bei Moi reached the 9th rank of the martial path at the age of 16, shocking the Guanjuan palace. Lord Wang Ho has decided to hold a banquet for him, 9th rank of the martial path. Zhao Feng's heart skipped a beat. It wasn't hard to imagine that after the beast horde, Bei Moi had also made great progress and reached the 9th rank. To be able to reach the 9th rank of the martial path at the age of 16, this was unheard of in the entire Guanjuan province, or even in the entire Cloud Country, at least in the past 20 years. One had to know that many cultivators couldn't even reach the 7th rank in their entire life. After the 7th rank, it became harder and harder to improve. For example, some elders of the Zhao clan might be stuck at the 7th rank for the rest of their lives. Reaching the 9th rank of the martial path at the age of 16. It's unfortunate that he's in the same generation as Bei Moi. Zhao Feng sighed in his heart. Normally, geniuses like Nan Gongfan and Feng Hanyue would be the top of their generation. However, Bei Moi outshone the other geniuses. Zhao Feng asked, when will the banquet be held? Tomorrow night. The servant bowed and answered. Zhao Feng nodded his head, but he felt a lot of pressure. From the current situation, the gap between him and Bei Moi wasn't that close. Although he had been improving by leaps and bounds, Bei Moi wasn't going to stop either. Back in the room, Zhao Feng calmed himself down and continued to practice silver wall technique. Under the pressure of being a super genius, he was more focused than ever before. A thumping sound came from his mysterious left eye. A strange aura came from his left eye and entered his body, even his organs. A numbing feeling spread throughout his body as he practiced silver wall technique. Zhao Feng's heart skipped a beat and his body buzzed. He tried his best to practice silver wall technique. A day and a night later, a layer of black liquid flowed out from Zhao Feng's body. Whoo! All the pores and acupoints in his body relaxed, and he felt unprecedentedly comfortable. His spirit, qi, and energy broke through a shackle and reached a whole new level. At this moment, as he breathed, his body released a formless pressure. That was the power of his physical body. I broke through the 8th level of silver wall technique under such circumstances. Zhao Feng let out a long breath as his face was filled with excitement and joy. Under normal circumstances, it would take him at least half a month to achieve a breakthrough in the silver wall technique, and it could even take a few months. Maybe it was because of Baimuo's pressure that the mysterious left eye's power had been unleashed, but Zhao Feng's bloodline potential had also been unleashed. Zhao Feng was confident that he was invincible under the 9th rank of the martial path. He could even fight against normal 9th rank cultivators. Creak! Zhao Feng smiled and walked out of the room. Outside the room, it was pitch black and the moon was bright. I almost forgot. Baimuo's banquet is tonight. Zhao Feng's heart skipped a beat. Looking at the time, the banquet should be going on for a while. Tang! Zhao Feng's figure flew towards the location of the banquet. A full moon hung high in the starry night sky, causing the surrounding stars to dim in comparison. This starry sky seemed to indicate that Baimuo's dazzling radiance had overshadowed all the other stars. The location of the banquet was the spiritual martial hall, and it was only limited to the people of the Guanjuan Palace. Stepping into the hall, Zhao Feng realized that the banquet was coming to an end. Inside the hall, Lord Guanjuan and his disciples were all present as well as a few of his confidants. Brother Zhao, what took you so long to come to Brother Mo's banquet? Nan Gongfan's eyebrows furrowed. Greetings, Master. Congratulations, Brother Mo. Zhao Feng didn't bother with Nan Gongfan as he walked up to greet Lord Guanjuan and congratulate Baimuo. Baimuo's aura was even more profound than before. His inner force was condensed to the limit, reaching the 9th stage. Compared to before he reached the 9th rank, his strength had doubled. Zhao Feng's left eye analyzed and concluded that Baimuo's true strength was close to the half-step holy realm. This meant that Baimuo's strength had already surpassed Yi Linyun, Third Guard, and the others. Lord Guanjuan and Baimuo didn't put Zhao Feng's tardiness to heart. At the banquet, Lord Guanjuan and Baimuo were the main characters and they became the focus of everyone's attention. Lord Guanjuan had a smile on his face as he looked at Baimuo with anticipation. Compared to them, the other outer disciples such as Nan Gongfan, Zhao Feng and Yang Qingshan were just side characters. They were like leaves against flowers. There's still one more month before the entrance examination of the Broken Moon clan begins. Disciple will definitely complete Master's wish. Baimuo said confidently. He could feel Master's care and hope. You're my most talented disciple and I believe that you'll be able to go far after entering the clan. Lord Guanjuan nodded his head with a smile. As the banquet came to an end, only Lord Guanjuan and his 6 disciples were left in the hall, even Yi Linyun and the others had left. Zhao Feng realized that Lord Guanjuan probably had something to say to the disciples. You all know that there's still one more month before the entrance examination of the Broken Moon clan and I only have 3 spots. 10 days later, I will select 3 people based on your strength, potential, and other comprehensive factors. Lord Guanjuan went straight to the point. The words caused the hearts of everyone apart from Baimuo to skip a beat. Even though they were from the same sect, they still had to fight for 3 spots. 6 people fighting for 3 spots. Amongst them, Baimuo's spot was unshakable. This meant that Yang Qingshan, Nan Gongfan, Feng Hanyue, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei had to fight for the remaining 2 spots. Chapter 100. As they walked out of the spiritual martial hall, the other disciples remained silent. After Master announced the names, they were no longer just brothers and sisters. There was competition and conflict of interest between them. We only have 10 days. Feng Hanyue clenched his fists and glanced at Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan. Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan had reached the 8th and peak 8th rank respectively. If there were no accidents, the remaining 2 spots would belong to them. On the other hand, Feng Hanyue, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei were all at the peak 7th rank. Zhao Feng's face was calm. He was confident that he could get a spot, but he was worried about Zhao Yufei. Beside him, Zhao Yufei's clear eyes revealed a trace of sadness. She glanced at him from time to time as if she was reluctant to part with him. After confirming that she had given up, Zhao Feng sighed in his heart. Through his left eye, he had a rough estimate of Zhao Yufei's strength. She was between Feng Hanyue and Nan Gongfan, so her chances of getting a spot were slim. Zhao Feng. Do you remember our agreement? Let's compete in the clan. I hope you still have that chance. Beimoi glanced at Zhao Feng with a hint of mockery. It was obvious that he wasn't optimistic about Zhao Feng's chances of getting a spot. Firstly, Zhao Feng's talent and cultivation were weaker than Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan. Secondly, with his half-spiritual body, he might not even be able to pass the clan's test. Therefore, Zhao Feng's chances of entering the clan and competing with him were very slim. That day will come. Zhao Feng's voice was calm and powerful as he left, leaving Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan looking at each other. Where does this kid get his confidence from? What does he have that he can compete with us? Nan Gongfan snickered. On the other hand, Yang Qingshan's expression was solemn as he looked at Zhao Feng's back. After the 6 young geniuses returned home, they began to cultivate in seclusion. In the last 10 days, Feng Hanyue, Zhao Feng, and Zhao Yufei were all cultivating hard, trying to make a breakthrough. Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan didn't dare to be careless. They used the last 10 days to consolidate their cultivation and increase their strength. The most relaxed person was Beimoi. He didn't feel any pressure at all. There was almost no suspense in being selected and entering the sect. However, he did not relax for 2 days. Not long later, Lord Guanjuan called him over and the Holy Realm Grandmaster personally guided him in his cultivation. Zhao Feng and the others could not enjoy such treatment. Therefore, in these 10 days, the 6 geniuses all made breakthroughs and improvements under the pressure. On the 5th day, Zhao Feng broke through to the 8th rank of the martial path. He didn't even intentionally try to break through, and just like that, he advanced to the 8th level. Zhao Feng's focus was still on Silver Wall incantation. He practiced it tirelessly, and his cultivation was secondary. On the 7th day, Feng Hanyue and Zhao Yufei reached the 8th rank on the same day. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. On the morning of the same day, the 6 geniuses returned to the Spiritual Martial Hall. The Spiritual Martial Hall, the martial arts field that was over 100 yards wide. Lord Guanjuan stood with his hands behind his back and Yi Linyun and the one-armed 3rd guard stood on his left and right. Beimoi and the other 6 stood in a line, waiting for their master's orders. Not bad. Lord Guanjuan scanned the 6 disciples and nodded his head in satisfaction. Now, the 6 disciples had all reached the 8th rank of the martial path. Beimoi was at the 9th rank of the martial path. Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan were both at the peak of the 8th rank, and the former was at the peak of the 8th rank. Feng Hanyue, Zhao Feng, and Zhao Yufei had all reached the 8th rank not long ago. It could be said that any one of the 6 of them could look down on an ordinary small city. In the entire Cloud Country, they would all be top talents. Master, are you sure about the 3 spots? Yi Linyun asked expectantly. I'm pretty sure. I plan to give the 3 spots to Beimoi, Yang Qingshan, and Nan Gongfan. Lord Guanjuan said. Hearing this, Feng Hanyue, Zhao Feng, and Zhao Yufei's expressions all changed. On the other hand, Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan were full of joy. Zhao Feng was surprised. He didn't think that Lord Guanjuan would make such a decision so easily. He could see that Lord Guanjuan had decided on the spots based on their spiritual bodies. Master, aren't you going to give the other 3 a chance? Yi Linyun was surprised. Third guard, who had lost an arm, furrowed his eyebrows. This didn't seem like Master's style. But thinking about it, Master only said, "Pretty sure." Did he have more to say? Lord Guanjuan smiled faintly, but just as he was about to speak, his expression suddenly changed. "Who's there?" Lord Guanjuan exclaimed, his voice reverberating around the martial arts field and the nearby halls. At the same time, his gaze turned towards the garden next to the martial arts field. "Huh. Senior Master Su, how have you been?" A man's laughter sounded from the garden. Shwa! Like a dragonfly, a young man dressed in a black robe lightly tapped on the flowers and trees and landed on the training field. This youth was around 27 years old, he had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He was extremely handsome and had an unfathomable aura around him. He strolled around leisurely, smiling as he looked at Lord Guanjuan and then at Bei Moi. Meeting his eyes, Lord Guanjuan's body shook, his expression was solemn as if he was slightly wary. This person's clothes, Zhao Feng's heart jumped as he stared at the mysterious youth's clothes. It was a black-striped uniform. Master broke through to the true spirit realm half a year ago and became the only new elder of the Broken Moon clan in the last 10 years. I'm here on behalf of him. Does Martial Uncle have any objections? Quan Chen smiled. True spirit realm. Lord Guanjuan's heart shook. He reached the true spirit realm. How could he be so fast? At this point in time, Lord Guanjuan couldn't accept this fact. You're called Bei Moi, right? Quan Chen's eyes turned and inspected Bei Moi with interest. Shwa! With a flash, Bei Moi felt a gust of wind blow towards him. However, before he could react, a large hand that was as heavy as 1,000 caddies appeared on his shoulder. Let me go. Bei Moi's face went red as he tried to struggle, but he found that his inner strength had been sealed and he couldn't move. Stop! Lord Guanjuan leapt over as a wave of silver energy condensed on his arm. Shwa! The full power attack of a Saint Realm Grandmaster was like a sharp silver blade that slashed towards Quan Chen. Quan Chen smiled and threw Bei Moi away. He then waved his hand and a net of moonlight appeared in the air and clashed with Lord Guanjuan's attack. Kang, a bone-piercing shockwave swept out, causing a nearby pavilion to instantly collapse. A hole several yards wide was left where the two clashed. Shwa shwa! The two figures floated in midair and clashed at a speed that couldn't be seen by the naked eye. Pang! Bang! Boom! The martial arts experts at the scene only felt a figure sweeping across the void and the ground. Everywhere he passed, there would be a shocking rumble and a turbulent airwave. This is the battle between Holy Realm cultivators. Zhao Feng's left eye could see the exchange between the two and he kept his distance from them, in case he was caught in the crossfire. Pa! At a certain moment, another deafening explosion came from the sky, and two figures floated down in the strong airflow. Junior Master, your cultivation hasn't increased in a few years. Quan Chen landed on the ground with his hands behind his back and a smile on his face. Blood leaked out of Lord Guanjuan's mouth and his face was pale white as his body shook. Chapter 101. This scene made everyone from the spiritual martial palace dazed and they didn't know what to do. Who would have thought that Lord Guanjuan of the Cloud Country would be defeated by a junior so easily? Master! Yi Linyun and the others exclaimed as they flew to Lord Guanjuan's side. Everyone stared at Quan Chen angrily, but they couldn't hide the fear in their hearts. Don't do anything. Lord Guanjuan steadied himself and sent a message to the disciples. Alone, he staggered and struggled to stand where he was. Zhao Feng's heart was moved as he looked at Lord Guanjuan's figure facing the enemy alone. If it wasn't for Lord Guanjuan, the cultivators here would have been slaughtered by Quan Chen. Senior Master Su, I'm not a murderer. Quan Chen smiled as he looked at Lord Guanjuan and the others, before landing on Bei Moi. Shwa! His figure flashed and he instantly appeared in front of Bei Moi. What are you trying to do? Bei Moi's expression tensed as he realized that his inner strength was still sealed. Quan Chen only stood in front of him with a smile, but he didn't do anything. Brother Beimoi, you're Senior Master Su's core disciple, so you should know that the 9 ranks of the martial path are just the basics. The holy martial path is a new beginning. Quan Chen's voice was gentle. Everyone, including Zhao Feng and Yi Linyun, didn't know what Quan Chen was trying to do. I know. Beimoi tried to break through the seals in his body and said, the 9 ranks of the martial path are called the consolidated realm. They are meant to strengthen the body and build the foundation. Above the consolidated realm are the ascended realm and the true spirit realm. Among them, the mortal shedding stage is what the secular world calls the saint stage of the martial Tao. It's a stage where one transcends the mortal and enters sainthood, breaking away from the scope of ordinary people. Consolidated realm, ascended realm, true spirit realm, his description made Zhao Feng, Feng Hanyue and the others fall into deep thought. They didn't think that the 9 ranks of the martial path were just the basics, used to strengthen the body and strengthen the foundation. The world of the sect is vast. Your master's cultivation base has always been stuck at the second heaven of the mortal shedding stage. He's just a nobody in the sect. Quan Chen laughed mockingly. A small fry. Everyone was stunned for a moment before they flew into a rage. Don't you dare insult my master! Yi Linyun, Yang Qingshan and the others roared in anger. Quan Chen stood on the spot and smiled calmly, not bothering to explain. He was alone, facing a sage state grandmaster from Guangling County, as well as close to 10 experts of the 8th and 9th rank of the martial path. Lord Guanjuan's side didn't dare to do anything. This is strength. Once you grasp true power, you won't have to be afraid even if you face the entire county alone. Zhao Feng was shocked and helpless at the same time. The young man in front of him had such power, crushing all the experts of the Guanjuan Palace under his feet. See, your master didn't deny it either. He's just a minion in the sect. For a genius like you to acknowledge such a person as your master, can you imagine the restrictions? Quan Chen said slowly. Beimoi's face was bright red as he tried to break through the restrictions in his body, but he failed again and again. What do you want? Beimoi finally gave up. He had to admit that the youth in front of him had power that surpassed his master. It was even harder to imagine how strong the other party's master would be after he had surpassed the ascended mortality stage and reached the true spirit stage. My master is an expert at the true spirit realm and is an elder of the Broken Moon clan. He grasps the mysterious power of supreme cultivation and looks down on the common people. He is an expert of the world of sects. Quan Chen's voice became more and more excited as admiration appeared in his eyes. True spirit realm. This was a level that even Lord Guanjuan had to respect. Quan Chen's words made Lord Guanjuan speechless, his expression dim. Perhaps Quan Chen's words were the truth. At this point in time, the martial arts field fell into silence. Lord Guanjuan's eyes twinkled as he sighed, Beimoi, you make the decision. Ha ha ha. Uncle Su. You're actually so cooperative. Do you think that you're not fit to be Beimoi's master? Quan Chen let out a long laugh as a smug look appeared in his eyes, along with a sense of superiority. After he finished speaking, he smiled warmly and looked at Beimoi. My master, Taoist Master Hai Yun, is considering accepting you as his disciple. Are you willing to acknowledge him as your master? Become his disciple? Beimoi's face showed hesitation and uncertainty. If you agree to become an elder's disciple, you can immediately enter the sect and become an inner disciple. You won't have to suffer in the outer sect. This way, you'll stand at a higher starting point and have the chance to enter the true stage of the clan world. You'll be able to compete with the true dragon geniuses of the continent, chase after the footsteps of kings, and explore the ruins of ancient experts. Quan Chen's voice was filled with bewitchment, revealing a boundless world of possibilities. Not far away, Zhao Feng and the others couldn't control their minds. The real world of sects, the real stage of the continent, what was it like? Back at Sun Feather City, Zhao Feng was already filled with curiosity and expectation towards the outside world. The world of the clan is the true meaning of life and cultivation. If you're willing to become an elder's disciple, you'll have a higher starting point and limitless future. Quan Chen's voice slowly calmed down. He didn't attack Beimoi, he only smiled and described a world full of excitement and temptation. At this moment, Beimoi was facing such a choice. Should he become a disciple of the clan or follow an elder of the clan? Hehe, you should also know that Su Ran and my master, Taoist Master Hai Yun, are enemies. If his disciple enters the clan, I guarantee that he won't be able to achieve much. Quan Chen's smile had a hint of coldness in it. Zhao Feng and the others couldn't help but shiver. It wasn't hard to imagine that Quan Chen's master had an irreconcilable enmity with Lord Guanzhu and Su Ran. If Lord Guanzhuan's disciple entered the Broken Moon clan, it was very likely that he would be suppressed. No matter how talented Beimoi was, he was still a baby in the cradle, and in the eyes of the elders, he was like an ant. It was extremely easy for them to suppress him. Hearing up to here, cold sweat appeared on Beimoi's forehead and fear appeared in his eyes. What do you think? Quan Chen reached out his hand and released Beimoi's inner strength. Beimoi's face was filled with struggle as he looked at Lord Guanzhuan and Quan Chen, who was smiling warmly. Yang Qingshan and the others were about to scold him, but they were stopped by Lord Guanzhuan. After a long while, Beimoi said expressionlessly, "I'm willing to follow Hai Yun Master." After making this decision, he returned to his old self and endured the scolding of Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan. Good. A good bird chooses a good tree to nest in. Many years later, you'll be thankful for your decision today. Quan Chen let out a satisfied smile. His figure flashed and he appeared in front of Lord Guanzhuan. Martial Uncle Su Ran, you won't reject me if I take this prodigy away on behalf of the elders, right? Quan Chen looked at Lord Guanzhuan with a smile. Playfulness could be seen in his eyes as he admired Lord Guanzhuan's helpless face. Go. Lord Guanzhuan's face was pale white and he seemed to have aged 20 years in an instant. He waved his hands powerlessly and didn't even look at Beimoi. At this moment, Zhao Feng and the others nearby couldn't help but have pity in their eyes. They knew how much love and expectation Lord Guanzhuan had for Beimoi. And now, such a super prodigy was taken away by the enemy. How could they not be sad? Zhao Feng could almost hear Lord Guanzhuan's heart twitching and dripping blood. Su Ran. Master told me to tell you this, you're destined to be stepped on by him for the rest of your life. Your woman will be taken by him and your best disciple will be taken away. Quan Chen coldly left a sentence before he left. Wah! Lord Guanzhuan was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood and almost fainted. You're destined to be stepped on by him for the rest of your life. Your woman will be taken away by him and your best disciple will be taken away. These words echoed around the martial arts field once or twice. Zhao Feng and the others felt their hearts go cold. They couldn't imagine what kind of humiliation Lord Guanzhuan had to endure in the clan. They could imagine how Lord Guanzhuan had been defeated by that person time and time again, and even his most beloved woman had been taken away. He had spent so much effort to raise a prodigy so that he could beat that person one day. But who would have thought that the disciple he had put so much effort into would also be taken away by someone else? This is a completely unfair fight. That so-called Hai Yun Master is just playing with Master. Zhao Feng couldn't help but feel angry. He was only an outer disciple of Lord Guanzhuan and he didn't have a deep relationship with him. But at this moment, there was a strong impulse in his heart. If it was possible, he would definitely seek justice for this poor old man, for this cheap master. Seeing Quan Chen and Beimoi leave, everyone in the martial arts field was silent. Yi Linyun, Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan were filled with anger as they cursed at Hai Yun Master and his disciple, as well as Beimoi. Don't blame Beimoi. Lord Guanzhuan smiled bitterly. Master, why are you still protecting that bastard? Nan Gongfan said unhappily. Lord Guanzhuan took a deep breath and sighed. Mo is very smart and logical. With his talent, if he doesn't submit, he might be crippled by Quan Chen on the spot. Geniuses like him are usually taken in as disciples by the upper echelons of the clan. This is something that Hai Yun Master doesn't want to see. Hearing Lord Guanjuan's analysis, Zhao Feng and the others understood. Beimoi didn't have a path of retreat, and a good bird chose a good tree to nest in. After the storm, Lord Guanjuan looked at the remaining disciples and smiled. Although Beimoi has left, the 3 spots won't change. With Beimoi gone, there was less competition for the 3 spots. This was a good and bad thing for the remaining disciples. Your talent is far below Beimoi's, and as long as you don't stand out, Haiyun Master won't make things difficult for you. Of course, the people below will bully and make things difficult for you. Lord Guanjuan's voice was bitter and weak. He didn't have much hope for the remaining disciples, he just wanted to do his duty as a teacher. Chapter 102. On the potholed and cracked training field, the disciples fell into a brief silence. Zhao Feng saw the last bit of hope disappear from Lord Guanjuan's eyes. This marquis, who had shaken the cloud country and reached the heavens with his martial prowess, seemed to have aged several decades in an instant. Zhao Feng knew that Beimoi had been taken away and Lord Guanjuan's last bit of hope had been destroyed. As for the other disciples, Lord Guanjuan didn't have much hope. At this moment, the disciples fell into deep thought. The choice they made next would affect their entire lives. The opportunity to enter the world of sects was something that all martial arts geniuses yearned for and looked forward to. But the problem in front of them was that if they entered the clan, they might be bullied or even bullied. It wasn't hard to imagine that this would be a harder and more challenging path than other clans. Not knowing why, Zhao Feng felt a sense of ambition and motivation, as if there was a flame burning in his heart. His left eye flashed with a faint azure light, as if there was a flame dancing in it. No matter how hard it is, I'm willing to try. Beimoi, that bastard, I'll teach him a lesson. Yang Qingshan gritted his teeth and said angrily. His decision made Zhao Feng's expression change. It looked like he wasn't the only one that didn't want to give up. Among his fellow disciples, Yang Qingshan was the most passionate and sincere, and he was also very loyal to his master. I won't give up either. The entrance exam of the Broken Moon clan only happens once every 5 years. Nan Gongfan agreed after thinking for a while. In front of them was a vast door. Whether or not they could step through it was something that most martial artists didn't even have the chance to do. The sect's entrance examination was usually held once every 5 or even 10 years. If they missed this chance, they would regret it for the rest of their lives. We can't miss this chance. Feng Hanyue nodded his head in agreement. Finally, it was Zhao Feng's turn. I promised Beimoi, I won't go back on my word. Nan Gongfan and the others paused, but they soon remembered that Zhao Feng and Beimoi had an agreement. They would fight after they entered the clan. Towards this, the others smiled and didn't think much of it. Lord Guanjuan sighed in his heart as he saw the actions of his disciples. He understood these youths' drive to not admit defeat. But Lord Guanjuan wasn't too optimistic about the future, he just didn't want to crush the confidence and pride of his disciples. Next, the few of you will fight for 3 spots. Lord Guanjuan said expressionlessly. When Beimoi was around, the 6 of them had to fight for 3 spots. But now, 5 people were fighting for 3 spots, so the competition was relatively small. Ah! No! Zhao Feng's gaze swept across his senior brothers, and his expression suddenly changed. Other than Beimoi, there were still Yang Qingshan, Nan Gongfan, Feng Hanyue and Zhao Feng. There was still one person missing. Sister Yufei is missing. Zhao Feng turned pale with fright. Only then did the crowd realize that they were still missing a junior sister. The martial arts arena had become a mess because of the previous battle between Sage Realm Grandmasters. Moreover, they had suffered a heavy blow not too long ago. So, no one had noticed that one person was missing. Hurry up and send people to search. Look at the collapsed houses over there. Lord Guanjuan immediately ordered. Yi Linyun and 3rd Guard immediately ordered the Guanjuan Corps and the other guards to search. Zhao Feng and the others also started to search nearby. When Lord Guanjuan and Quan Chen fought, there were many houses that collapsed and holes were left on the ground. Zhao Yufei might have been caught up in the battle. Everyone worked together to clean up the ruins around the battle. No! There's no sign of anyone. At least there's no sign of the battle. After searching for a long time, no one could find Zhao Yufei. Lord Guanjuan said solemnly, "When I fought with Quan Chen, I tried to avoid the crowd, so no one would be caught up in the battle. Even if Zhao Yufei was dead, there should at least be a corpse." However, the current situation was strange. There was no sign of Zhao Yufei in the vicinity of the martial arts practice field. She disappeared. How is that possible? Zhao Feng's breathing quickened and his face was full of worry. "Expand the search area," Lord Guanjuan ordered. Soon, Yi Linyan led hundreds of elite guards to expand the search area with the spiritual martial palace as the center. But there was no sign of anyone in the spiritual martial palace. To find Zhao Yufei, the Guanjuan palace had mobilized thousands of people. A living person can't just disappear into thin air. Zhao Feng took in a deep breath. Tang! With a leap, he flew onto a large tree and leapt again, arriving at the tallest tower in the Guanjuan palace. "Brother Zhao, what are you doing?" The people below were confused. Yi Linyan and Feng Hanyue knew a bit of the situation. Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei come from the same family and their relationship has always been good. Yi Linyan said to Lord Guanjuan. At this moment, Zhao Feng stood on top of the tower and he took in a deep breath. His eyes became sharp as he scanned the entire Guanjuan palace. With his super eyesight, he quickly scanned through the Guanjuan palace. 10 breaths later, Zhao Feng's left eye extended from the Guanjuan palace to the outside. At a certain moment, his heart skipped a beat as he locked onto a corner 10 miles away from the Guanjuan palace. A familiar figure appeared in his sight. At the corner of the street, a one-armed old man and a young girl stood together. "Grandfather, why did you take me away?" Zhao Yufei's eyes were filled with unwillingness as she looked back in the direction of the Guanjuan palace. The one-armed old man sighed. "Firstly, Lord Guanjuan didn't see your true potential. Secondly, grandfather doesn't know that he's enemies with someone at the true spirit realm. This means that the Broken Moon clan isn't suitable for you." But brother Zhao Feng, all that was left in Zhao Yufei's heart was worry for someone. Don't worry, his talent isn't enough to catch the eye of someone at the true spirit realm. Sometimes, it's not a bad thing to have low talent. The one-armed old man said with self-mockery. Zhao Yufei obviously understood her grandfather's meaning, but she felt that Zhao Feng wasn't as simple as a half-spiritual body. After saying this, the two immediately headed out of the Guanjuan province city. They didn't know that their movements had been seen by Zhao Feng, who was in the Guanjuan palace. Zhao Feng could see the one-armed old man and Zhao Yufei, but he couldn't hear their conversation. Knowing that Yufei was safe, Zhao Feng let out a breath. Whatever, everyone has their own path. Zhao Feng had originally planned to chase after them, but he gave up in the end. After all, Zhao Yufei wasn't forced to be taken away. The one-armed old man who had taken her away was Zhao Yufei's grandfather. Back in the Zhao clan, Zhao Feng had felt that the old man wasn't simple. The one-armed old man had taken Zhao Yufei away in the chaos without anyone noticing. After confirming Zhao Yufei's safety, Zhao Feng returned to the spiritual martial hall. On the same day, the Guanjuan palace's search expanded to the entire province city. In the end, they found traces of Zhao Yufei and it was said that she had left with a one-armed old man. That one-armed old man is Yufei's grandfather. He's been very mysterious since he was in the Zhao clan. Zhao Feng came out to explain. After confirming the news, the group stopped searching. Lord Guanjuan didn't think too much about it. His core disciple had already been taken away, so he wouldn't feel disappointed if an outer disciple was taken away. But he still had to do his duty as a teacher. Now, the 4 of you will fight for the next 3 spots. Lord Guanjuan's eyes scanned across the 4 of them. Of the remaining disciples, Yang Qingshan was the most talented, but he was still far from Bei Moi. After him was Nan Gongfan, Feng Hanyue and finally Zhao Feng. The spots were Yang Qingshan, Nan Gongfan, and Feng Hanyue. Lord Guanjuan's initial decision was based on talent. Because in the clan world, talent determined how far one could go in the future. Of course, only Zhao Feng had the chance to challenge him. When Bei Moi was here, Lord Guanjuan had allowed him to challenge him, but before he could do so, he was interrupted by Quan Chen. "I challenge Nan Gongfan," Zhao Feng said without hesitation. Among his senior brothers, the one he disliked the most was Nan Gongfan. Naturally, he would not stand on ceremony now. "You're challenging me?" Nan Gongfan was slightly surprised. Among the three, Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan had both reached the peak of the 8th layer. Their cultivations were obviously stronger than the others. They had thought that Zhao Feng would challenge Feng Hanyue as his chances of winning were higher. Feng Hanyue let out a breath of relief. He was even more wary of Zhao Feng than Nan Gongfan. "It's starting," Yi Linyun announced. Lord Guanjuan and Yi Linyun were both present for the competition. Yi Linyun was full of expectations for Zhao Feng. Lord Guanjuan, on the other hand, was disinterested. But everyone could understand that Lord Guanjuan had lost his most beloved disciple, so he must be depressed. "Junior brother Zhao, today we can have a proper battle." Nan Gongfan smiled as he thought to himself that he would teach Zhao Feng a lesson this time. Last time, when they sparred, he had suppressed his cultivation to the same level and lost to Zhao Feng, losing to him in a humiliating manner. This time, he didn't need to suppress his cultivation in a fair and square battle. Suction force. Nan Gongfan waved his sleeves and a white gust of air flowed in all directions towards Zhao Feng. Shua. In an instant, the dust in the surroundings was pulled by the strong wind towards the range of Nan Gongfan's chi wave. If it was a normal martial master, they would probably be at Nan Gongfan's mercy. Even a 9th stage ranker would have to go through a lot of trouble when facing this kind of chi field suction force. If he was not careful, he would fall. This was the power of a holy martial art. However, the young man in front of Nan Gongfan had an extremely heavy body. It was as if his feet were rooted in the ground. He didn't move at all. The holy martial art, godly suction force, couldn't even move Zhao Feng. And this was when Nan Gongfan's cultivation was higher than his. Yi Linyun, Yang Qingshan and Feng Hanyue were all shocked. Only Lord Guanjuan's expression was calm, but a strange light flashed across his eyes, but he didn't show it. Suction force. Star finger. Zhao Feng pointed out his finger and merged the suction force into the 6th level of star finger. Shoo! In a split second, a sharp and ear-piercing finger whistle tore through the night sky. That cyan streak of light was like a meteor, dragging along the sound of thunder, and even more so had the momentum of a storm. Everyone's heart jumped when the finger was pointed out. What a powerful finger! Yi Linyun didn't doubt that the power of this finger was enough to threaten a cultivator of the 9th rank. Yang Qingshan and Feng Hanyue felt like they couldn't defend against it. Poof! Nan Gongfan's heart trembled when he faced this attack. He could only watch helplessly as the suction layer of the aura activated by great suction force was pierced through by his opponent's finger. Chapter 103. Zhao Feng's finger shocked everyone present. The youths of the same generation felt like they couldn't fight back at all. Yang Qingshan even had the feeling that Bei Moi had appeared again. Even the gloomy Lord Guanjuan's eyes lit up for a moment before he calmed down and focused on the battle. Puchi! Zhao Feng's finger broke through Nan Gongfan's suction force and pushed the latter back. In a single move, Zhao Feng had gained the clear advantage, even suppressing his opponent. Suction force. Nan Gongfan once again used his holy martial art and merged it with the wind. He didn't want to fight against Zhao Feng head-on. He realized that Zhao Feng's attacks were too strong. Star Finger was at the 6th level and it was only one step away from the 7th level. This meant that Zhao Feng had almost mastered this half-holy martial art to the max level. The most terrifying thing was that Zhao Feng had merged the tornado stance into Star Finger, and it had increased the power by more than a level under the effect of the incomplete holy martial skill. Thus, in that exchange just now, Zhao Feng had unquestionably won. I only merged 50 to 60% of tornado stance into it, but it was so powerful. Zhao Feng himself was also shocked. In the following exchange, Nan Gongfan used his movement skill and used the wind from suction force to move around at an extremely fast speed. When did this guy become so strong? He's even stronger than Yang Qingshan. Nan Gongfan hadn't calmed down yet, and he wanted to test Zhao Feng's strength. If that finger was one of Zhao Feng's killer moves, he might be able to deal with it. If that finger was just a normal attack, he wouldn't believe it. Flowing wind stance. Smoking transparent step. Zhao Feng's footwork suddenly changed, and his body blurred as he vanished. Without a sound, he followed the direction of the wind and unleashed the half-holy grade martial technique, Misty Shadowless Steps, to a terrifying extent. Even though he was within Nan Gongfan's wind aura, Zhao Feng was still able to utilize his opponent's wind aura to the fullest. Nan Gongfan was scared out of his wits. He almost couldn't figure out Zhao Feng's movement. Tornado style. Star Finger. The explosive sound of the finger force piercing through the air suddenly came from the side. Its power was not inferior to the last time, and it was even stronger. A chill ran down Nan Gongfan's spine. He activated his Saint Grade Inner Force mental cultivation method and waved his sleeve, barely managing to block Zhao Feng's attack. The two forces collided with each other, and a strong gust of wind swept out for more than 10 meters. The ground under their feet was peeling off layer by layer. Chi! Nan Gongfan felt a sharp pain in his arm. His sleeve was pierced by Zhao Feng's finger force, leaving a bloody mark on his white arm. After exchanging 2 or 3 moves, Nan Gongfan was already slightly injured. For the next few moves, Zhao Feng's speed, movement, and attack power were all higher than his. Nan Gongfan couldn't even breathe. He used all of his skills, but he was still beaten by Zhao Feng. On the other hand, his attacks couldn't hurt Zhao Feng at all. Whirlpool Wind Stab. Nan Gongfan used his most powerful attack in this critical moment. A white whirlpool pierced towards Zhao Feng. The power of this attack had reached a level that could threaten cultivators of the 9th rank of the martial path. Silver Air Barrier. Zhao Feng stood still as a half-transparent silver air barrier appeared on his body. Dang! It blocked Nan Gongfan's most powerful attack. In the end, Zhao Feng didn't move at all, and the silver air barrier didn't even break. This meant that Nan Gongfan's most powerful attack couldn't even break through Zhao Feng's defense. What shocking defense! Unless Brother Bei Moi is here, we won't be able to break through his defense in a short amount of time. Yang Qingshan exclaimed as he looked at Zhao Feng in disbelief. Holy martial art silver wall technique, you've trained it to such a level? Yi Linyun was overjoyed. He had to admit that even though he had high hopes for Zhao Feng, the latter's performance had exceeded his expectations once again. Not bad. Lord Guanjuan, who had been silent all this time, had a hint of joy in his eyes. With Lord Guanjuan's status, he could obviously see the holy martial art intent that Zhao Feng had merged into his attacks. In fact, not all Saint-grade martial tactics contained concepts. However, those Saint-grade martial tactics that contained concepts were undoubtedly more difficult to comprehend and cultivate. But right in front of him, there was a genius who had successfully merged the intent of a holy martial art into his attacks. There was no need to judge. Zhao Feng had won this battle. The entire sparring lasted no more than 10 moves. Nan Gongfan felt like his soul had left his body. He couldn't believe that he would lose to a youth whose cultivation, age and talent were all lower than his. But this was the truth, he couldn't accept it. Don't give up, even Bei Moi lost to him in many areas. Yang Qingshan comforted. Hearing this, Nan Gongfan felt a little better. That's right, even the super genius Bei Moi had lost to Zhao Feng several times. In terms of memory, Bainhua lost to Zhao Feng. In the sparring last time, Zhao Feng's attack had pierced through Bainhua's sleeve and broke his perfect body. In the Beast Horde, Bainhua's battle points also lost to Zhao Feng's. At the end, Bainhua even made a deal with Zhao Feng to have a showdown in the clan. Zhao Feng agreed without hesitation. That's right. This guy is insane, luckily his talent isn't high. Thinking up to here, Nan Gongfan felt better. Yang Qingshan's words also made the others think. In terms of talent, Zhao Feng was far from Bainhua's level, maybe even lower than Nan Gongfan's. But under this situation, Zhao Feng could beat Bainhua in many areas. Thinking up to here, Yi Linyun and Su Ran looked at each other. A sliver of hope appeared in Lord Guanjuan's eyes, but it was soon extinguished as he sighed and shook his head. Obviously, he didn't think that Zhao Feng could replace Bainhua. Lord Guanjuan's experience in the clan made him understand how much talent could increase one's cultivation. After beating Nan Gongfan, Zhao Feng had taken a spot. Everyone here even thought that he was the strongest, even stronger than Yang Qingshan. Zhao Feng's left eye also caught the change in Lord Guanjuan's expression. Even though his performance had surprised his master, he couldn't replace Bainhua. Even if Nan Gongfan lost, he still had a chance to challenge Bainhua. I challenge Feng Hanyue. Nan Gongfan was able to keep his composure. He admitted that he couldn't beat Zhao Feng and Yang Qingshan had lost more often than he won. Therefore, Feng Hanyue was the most confident. Whether it was cultivation, talent or martial arts, he was better than Feng Hanyue. Soon, a battle began on the field. Nan Gongfan and Feng Hanyue fought for 40 to 50 rounds before a winner was decided. Feng Hanyue fought with his life on the line and managed to last 50 rounds. But in the end, Feng Hanyue still lost to Nan Gongfan. The difference between the two couldn't be made up for with other factors. Alright, the 3 spots have been decided. Feng Hanyue, don't give up. Even if you can't enter the clan, you still have a chance to become my successor. Lord Guanjuan's voice was calm and had a slight smile on it. No matter what, he had seen a surprise in this battle. After the spots were decided, Zhao Feng, Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan would have to participate in the clan examination 20 days later. The disciples left one by one. Zhao Feng, you stay. Lord Guanjuan told him to stay. Spiritual Martial Hall, in a study room. Only Zhao Feng and his master Su Ran were present. My name is Su Ran. I entered the Broken Moon clan a long time ago, but I wasn't able to reach the Ascended Realm before the age of 30. Afterwards, I stayed in the Outer Affair Division and was responsible for the mortal world. Lord Guanjuan told her about his past and identity. Zhao Feng understood that although Lord Guanjuan had reached the Ascended Realm, which was the holy martial path, he hadn't entered the core of the clan. Lord Guanjuan had entered the clan a long time ago and started a feud with a talented youth. That youth had defeated him many times, humiliated him and even took away the woman he loved. Regarding this, Lord Guanjuan kept it in his heart, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't catch up to that youth. Instead, the distance between them grew further and further. Lord Guanjuan wasn't willing to give up and after entering the mortal world, he used his power to gather geniuses from all over the world. Since I can't complete this wish myself, then I can only rely on the geniuses of the younger generation. Because the older generation will die and the future will belong to the younger generation. If my disciple can beat that person, then at least I'll be able to vent my anger. Lord Guanjuan finished the story. Zhao Feng knew that the youth Su Ran's master was talking about was Hai Yun, master of the Broken Moon clan. Why did master ask me to stay and talk about this? Zhao Feng asked. Because I've seen many surprises from you. You can beat Bainhua in many aspects. Maybe you have a 10% chance of fighting Bainhua in the future. Lord Guanjuan said with a smile. 10% chance or maybe. Zhao Feng didn't think much of it. Although Bainhua's talent was high and he felt a lot of pressure, he didn't think that there was only a 10% chance. If I'm not mistaken, your silver wall technique has reached the 8th level. That's really surprising. In terms of body strengthening, you're also stronger than Bei Moi. After entering the Broken Moon clan, if you're able to obtain the 9-twist golden wall technique of a higher level and successfully learn it, your chances will increase. Expectation appeared in Lord Guanjuan's eyes. 7-twist golden wall technique? Zhao Feng couldn't help but click his tongue. From the name, this 9-twist golden wall technique was the ultimate version of metal wall technique. The silver wall technique was already a saint-grade martial skill, so how powerful would the ultimate version of the 9-transformation golden wall technique be? Of course, it's extremely hard to get the 9-twist golden wall technique. This is a famous martial art of the Broken Moon clan and normal inner disciples can't even learn it. Lord Guanjuan shook his head. Hearing this, Zhao Feng knew that it would be extremely hard to get this martial art. However, he was now truly tempted by this martial art. When the time came, he would come up with all sorts of methods, be it stealing or robbing, to get his hands on it. Master, can I try the crystal ball that I used to test my constitution again? Zhao Feng suddenly asked. Last time, Zhao Feng's result was the 5th circle and his talent was a half-spiritual body. Chapter 104. Zhao Feng's request made Lord Guanjuan pause for a second, then he shook his head and smiled. Talent is decided at birth, it can't be changed. Unless you have a special talent. But under his disciples' expectant gaze, Lord Guanjuan couldn't reject it and he took out a special crystal ball from the study room. Lord Guanjuan was a bit disappointed that Zhao Feng only had a half-spiritual body last time, so he didn't have much hope this time, so he just treated it as another test. Most people's talents were mortal bodies, which were split into 4 grades: low, middle, high and extreme. A half-spiritual body had already surpassed a mortal body, and it was already considered an excellent talent for most people. But compared to true geniuses, a half-spiritual body wasn't even worth mentioning. Zhao Feng took the crystal ball and took a deep breath, concentrating and injecting some inner strength into it. Wang, the inside of the crystal ball glowed with rings of white light. 1 circle, 1.5 circles, 2.5 circles, 2.5 circles. When it reached 2 circles, it started to slow down. When it reached 2.5 circles, it almost stopped. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. Last time when he tried his best, the white circle also stopped when it reached 1.5 circles. It was the same situation, but this time, Zhao Feng went 1 more circle than last time. Pa-pa! Pa-pa! When his concentration reached the limit, the dimension of his left eye started to beat. The 2.5 circles of white light started to extend again. The talent test was based on the entire body. The first 2.5 circles were for Zhao Feng's body, not including the mysterious left eye's result. Now that the left eye's talent was included, the result was completely different. 2.5 circles. 3 circles. 3.5 circles. 4 circles. The white circle reached the limit of a mortal body in the blink of an eye, and it didn't stop. At this moment, even Lord Guanjuan had a concerned expression on his face. 4 circles. 4.5 circles. 5.5 circles. The result on the crystal ball was a whole circle better than last time. Last time, Zhao Feng barely reached 5 circles, which was why he was a half-spiritual body. If it completely stabilized at the 5th ring, it would be a true spirit body, representing the talent of the inferior spirit body. On the other hand, Zhao Feng's result was 5.5 laps, which was between a low-class and a middle-class spirit body. This result had already surpassed Feng Hanyue and was on par with Nan Gongfan. Unbelievable! Your results this time are much better than last time. Such a situation is extremely rare even in the sect. Looks like you have the legendary variant physique. Lord Guanjuan was overjoyed. Ever since Bei Moi had been snatched away, true hope had once again appeared in his dim eyes. Dare I ask, Master, what is a mutant constitution? Zhao Feng asked. The so-called heterogeneous physique refers to some special physiques that are out of the norm. Using normal testing methods, there will be unstable and inaccurate situations, making it difficult to obtain true results. In the past, there were similar examples in the sect world. A youth with a strange physique was only a low-grade spirit physique during the initial test, but his final achievement was much higher than some high-grade spirit physiques. Lord Guanjuan explained. So that was how it was. Zhao Feng could roughly understand the origin of the heterogeneous physique. But he knew that his talent came from the mysterious left eye which had changed his body time and time again. Without merging with the left eye, my talent can't exceed a middle-class mortal body, it might even be a low-class mortal body. Zhao Feng knew this clearly. Without merging with the left eye, his talent was very average. Putting aside Bai Moi and Nan Gongfan, even Zhao Linlong and the others from the Zhao clan were geniuses that he couldn't reach. After confirming Zhao Feng's true talent, Lord Guanjuan's face was full of joy and expectation. The tests for heterogeneous physiques and talent weren't stable and accurate. Maybe Zhao Feng's true talent was even higher than before. No matter what was said, Zhao Feng's talent was even higher than last time. His future potential would only be greater. Try it a few more times. Lord Guanjuan's eyes were full of hope as he suggested. Okay. Zhao Feng nodded his head. He concentrated and tried again. But the result was the same as before, 5.5 circles. 5.5 circles, there's still a big gap between him and Bai Moi. His talent was close to 8.5 circles. You have to know that 8 circles is the limit of a spiritual body. Lord Guanjuan sighed. The crystal ball's result was 1 to 4 circles, representing the 4 levels of a mortal body. 5 to 8 circles represented the 4 levels of a spiritual body, low, middle, high and extreme. However, Bai Moi's result was close to 8.5 circles. Could it be that there's a higher talent than a spiritual body? Zhao Feng had a feeling. That's right. Bai Moi is half a step away from the legendary Earth spiritual body and Heaven spiritual body. Lord Guanjuan took a deep breath. Earth spiritual body and Heaven spiritual body. Zhao Feng's heart shook, his feeling was right. But the Heaven and Earth spiritual bodies are almost extinct on this continent. At least in the past 100 years, there hasn't been anyone with such talent. Bai Moi's talent is half a step away from the Earth spiritual body, this shows his potential. Lord Guanjuan sighed as his expression dimmed. But when his gaze landed on Zhao Feng, hope reappeared on Lord Guanjuan's face. After all, Zhao Feng had a changeable spiritual body and it was almost on the same level as the Earth spiritual body. There's still 20 days until the clan entrance exam. If you have any questions or requests, feel free to ask. Lord Guanjuan said to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng understood that Lord Guanjuan had placed his last hope on him and he would try his best to satisfy his requests. His first reaction was to comprehend more saint-grade martial tactics. But Lord Guanjuan's answer was that before reaching the Ascended Realm, it was best to learn 1 or 2 holy martial arts. With Zhao Feng's current situation, Silver Wall Technique and the other half-holy martial arts were at least on the same level as holy martial arts. If he were to learn other holy martial arts, it would waste a lot of time and energy. If you can train Silver Wall Technique to the 10th level and enter the Ascended Realm with your body, you'll have more choices in the clan and won't be limited to the holy martial arts of the Guanjuan Palace. Lord Guanjuan smiled. The holy martial arts of the Guanjuan Palace couldn't be compared to the clan's. If he chose too early, it would only limit Zhao Feng's future. Hearing this, Zhao Feng agreed. The reason why he chose Silver Wall Technique was because he wanted to create a good foundation for his body when he reached the 9th rank of the martial path. And reality proved that his choice was correct. Master, may I ask, in the world of the sects, how are the cultivation realms divided? Zhao Feng asked. In the clan, the realms are Consolidated Realm, Ascended Realm, True Spirit Realm. Lord Guanjuan explained the cultivation system. Consolidated Realm, Ascended Realm, True Spirit Realm. Zhao Feng had a basic understanding of this system from the experts he had met today. The Consolidated Realm was the 9th rank of the martial path. It was used to strengthen the body and create a good foundation. The Ascended Realm was split into 7 heavens, also known as the Holy Martial Path. The True Spirit Realm was split into 3 heavens. Haiyun Master was an elder of this realm. Before he left, Lord Guanjuan gave the crystal ball to Zhao Feng. Try it when you have time. The talent of a changeable body is hard to come by. Lord Guanjuan said expectantly. It was obvious that he hoped that Zhao Feng's changeable body would have more potential. Zhao Feng took the crystal ball back to his yard. He closed the door. Zhao Feng took a deep breath and took out the crystal ball, concentrating and injecting some inner strength into it. 1 circle. 2 circles. 3 circles. 4 circles. Pa! Pa! As his left eye jumped, the number of circles in the crystal ball increased to 5.5 circles. Right at this moment, a faint azure glow appeared in Zhao Feng's left eye and his eyes became extremely sharp. When testing, he would use his left eye. Wang! The crystal ball became brighter and brighter as it continued to increase from 5.5 circles. 5.5 circles. 6 circles. 6.5 circles. 7 circles. Zhao Feng's heart beat rapidly as he looked at the number of circles in the crystal ball. Only after 7.5 circles did the speed slow down. But the final result of the crystal ball was still around 8 circles. 8.5 circles were faintly discernible. At this moment, Zhao Feng's left eye's power had also reached its maximum. The potential of the left eye is so great. Zhao Feng was slightly shocked. If he used his left eye, Zhao Feng's talent would be comparable to Beimoi's. Under normal circumstances, there would be a gap between them. But the left eye could also give Zhao Feng other benefits. Zhao Feng felt that the power of his left eye had limitless potential and had limitless potential. In the future, his left eye might even have new abilities. There were still 20 days until the clan entrance exam, so Zhao Feng focused on silver wall technique to strengthen his body. 3 days later, Zhao Feng decided to use the golden body strengthening powder. This golden body strengthening powder was extremely overbearing amongst the 9 ranks of the martial path. It could even be called the king of all body strengthening powders. According to the instructions, Zhao Feng poured the golden body strengthening powder into boiling water. As his body was soaked in the liquid, Zhao Feng felt a piercing pain in his bones. It was a life worse than death. No wonder the golden body strengthening powder said that there was a 50% chance of crippling someone at the 8th rank of the martial path. Luckily, Zhao Feng had trained the holy martial arts silver wall technique, so his body's defense was extremely strong, so he was able to withstand the power of the pill. Pa! Pa! As his left eye twitched, Zhao Feng's absorption rate was extremely high, but it also brought him more pain. After 3 days and 3 nights, Zhao Feng had absorbed most of the golden body strengthening powder's energy. In the next few days, he had to absorb the remaining energy, and at the same time, he had to recover his body. After using the golden body strengthening powder, his body was covered in wounds, and he had to rest for a few days before he could recover. But the effect of the golden body strengthening powder was beyond imagination, and Zhao Feng's silver wall technique had increased by leaps and bounds. If I get another packet of this powder, I might be able to train silver wall technique to the peak 8th level. Zhao Feng thought. He decided to ask his master Lord Guanjuan for help. At this time, there were only 10 days left until the clan entrance exam. Chapter 105. The first thing Zhao Feng did after coming out of seclusion was to find Lord Guanjuan. Coincidentally, he had received news from his servant that his master had summoned him 2 days ago and told him to go to the spiritual martial hall. Spiritual martial hall, in a study room. What's the result of the tests? Lord Guanjuan's eyes were filled with expectation. He had always thought that Zhao Feng had a changeable body and his talent wasn't stable. The lowest is a half-spiritual body and the highest is a middle spiritual body. Zhao Feng hit it slightly. Middle spiritual body? This kind of aptitude is considered average in the sect. Hearing this, Lord Guanjuan wasn't surprised or disappointed, it was within reason. After all, a changeable body was special and Zhao Feng's talent should only be higher than a middle spiritual body. After knowing the answer, Lord Guanjuan warned Zhao Feng to hide the fact that he had a changeable body as a warning to Bei Moi. There was still 10 days until the clan entrance exam. Apart from confirming Zhao Feng's changeable body, Lord Guanjuan also had two other goals. The first was to point out the flaws in Zhao Feng's cultivation. Zhao Feng immediately used silver wall technique, star finger, smoking transparent step, lightly floating fairy and other skills that he was good at. During the process, he would occasionally merge in the intent of the four wind stances. Lord Guanjuan nodded his head and pointed out some flaws and room for improvement. Lord Guanjuan was very satisfied with Zhao Feng's performance, it was even better than Bei Moi's. Zhao Feng was extremely familiar with all kinds of martial arts and after merging in the four wind stances, it was like adding wings to a tiger. Even Lord Guanjuan couldn't find any obvious flaws. Not bad. Your four-wind style contains a wonderful concept, so it shouldn't be an ordinary mortal-grade martial tactic. Lord Guanjuan praised. Normal martial art? Zhao Feng was slightly dazed. Lord Guanjuan explained, the normal martial arts in the mortal world are the basics, low tier, middle tier, high tier, they're not ranked at all. In the eyes of the world, the saint-grade martial tactic was only considered to be barely graded in the sect, and it was called the mortal grade. Legend has it that above the mortal grade, there is the legendary spirit grade, earth grade, and heaven grade. In the world of sects, saint-grade martial arts were just barely passable and were called mortal grade. In the world of sects, cultivation techniques were divided into mortal, spiritual, earth, and heaven. Among them, the earth and heaven grades were considered lost cultivation techniques on the continent. Understanding this, Zhao Feng was even more aware of his own insignificance, as well as the vastness of the sect world. In 10 days, the sect assessment will begin. I need to explain to you the details and the way to survive. Lord Guanjuan said seriously. This was the second reason why Lord Guanjuan wanted him. Zhao Feng immediately listened. After all, Lord Guanjuan had stayed in the clan before, so he knew the situation there. Lord Guanjuan emphasized the importance of survival. After you enter the clan, your first goal is to become an inner disciple as soon as possible. Because outer disciples don't receive much attention from the clan, even if 1 or 2 outer disciples die, the upper echelons of the clan won't do anything about it. Hearing this, Zhao Feng's heart went cold. Only by becoming an inner disciple will you receive the protection of the clan. At this point, even Hai Yun Master won't be able to touch you easily. Lord Guanjuan's eyes twinkled. First goal, becoming an inner disciple. Zhao Feng remembered that only by becoming an inner disciple would he have a foothold. Of course, if you become an inner disciple, your performance will be too outstanding. As an elder of the clan, it won't be too hard for Hai Yun Master to hurt you. Therefore, your second goal is to find a backer in the sect, and obtain the protection of an elder-level powerhouse. At that time, it will be even harder for Hai Yun Master to touch you. A smile appeared on Lord Guanjuan's face. Second goal, find an elder. After entering the clan, Zhao Feng understood his 2 goals. Especially the first one, it was the foundation of his foothold. After answering all the questions, Lord Guanjuan decided to give Zhao Feng some cultivation resources. In the beast horde last time, your battle points were hidden by the first guard. This time, I'll give you 300 battle points so you can't slack off in the last 10 days. Lord Guanjuan said with a smile. 300 battle points was enough for Zhao Feng to do a lot of things. These battle merits could be exchanged for a lot of spirit pills and medicinal ingredients. It wouldn't be a problem to exchange for a bag of treasure gold body tempering powder. Zhao Feng thanked Lord Guanjuan and said his goodbyes. That day, he rushed to the treasury hall to exchange for a precious body-tempering medicinal pill. But he found that the golden body-strengthening powder had already been exchanged, and the one he had exchanged for last time was the last one. Helplessly, Zhao Feng could only exchange for some other treasures and pills for body strengthening. After Zhao Feng's exchange, almost all the body-strengthening pills in the treasury hall had been exchanged. After returning, Zhao Feng went into seclusion and used the 300 battle points to train Silver Wall technique. 7 days later, Zhao Feng's Silver Wall technique had reached the peak of the 8th level. Currently, his physical strength and defense had reached a terrifying level. Without using his martial art inner force, his physical strength and defense alone were enough to fight against a 9th-layer expert. My current strength isn't much weaker than Bei Moi before he left. Zhao Feng's confidence rose. He was confident that no one in Guanjuan City would be a match for him. It could be said that no one below the Sage State would be a match for him. At this time, there were only 3 days left until the clan entrance exam. Lord Guanjuan finally gathered his 3 disciples, Zhao Feng, Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan. Zhao Feng's eyes scanned over Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan. Over the past few days, the two's cultivation hadn't increased, but their auras had become sharper. "Master, we're leaving now." Nan Gongfan was surprised. "We're leaving today." Lord Guanjuan said, "The Sky Moon Mountain is a few thousand miles away from here, we don't have much time." Hearing this, everyone's heart skipped a beat. From today onwards, the 4 of them used their movement skills and flew out of the Guanjuan Palace. With the group's speed, they could run more than 2,000 li in a day if they traveled during the day and rested for a few hours at night. They were much faster than ordinary 1,000 li horses. Late at night, the 3 of them came to a mountain surrounded by clouds. Tang! 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 The few of them leaped across the dangerous cliffs, often leaping 10 to 20 meters into the abyss. It was extremely thrilling. Luckily, their movement skills were good and they could fly in the air for a short period of time. "We're here." Lord Guanjuan stopped in his tracks as he looked at the mountain range that was covered in mist. Under the cover of the moonlight, the majestic mountain range was suffused with a strange cold light, giving people a feeling of boundless oppression that came from the universe. This was the Sky Moon Mountain that Lord Guanjuan talked about. Zhao Feng and the others were shocked when they saw it. Heavenly Moon Mountain was surrounded by a bottomless abyss. It was at least several hundred meters wide and at most several kilometers wide. Cultivators of the 9th rank of the martial path obviously couldn't cross the abyss and enter the territory of the Broken Moon clan. Even those at the Ascended Realm would have to think twice. "There's an entrance there." Lord Guanjuan took the 3 disciples and went around. After running for more than 10 li, a winding bluestone path in the shape of a Q appeared between the cliff and the abyss. From one side of the cliff, it connected to the Heavenly Moon Mountain on the other side. When they arrived at the entrance, there was a group of around 100 people. Most of them were youths under the age of 18 and they were all extremely talented. They were led by their elders and they waited at the entrance. Lord Guanjuan, you're here too." An old man in the crowd greeted Lord Guanjuan when he saw him. Behind the old man were 3 youths, 2 males and 1 female. 2 of them were at the 7th rank of the martial path and the other was a girl who was 14 or 15 years old and was at the 8th rank of the martial path. "He, Lord Sangtia, how have you been?" Lord Guanjuan replied with a faint smile. This old man was Lord Sangtia from the neighboring province city and his position in the Cloud Country was the same as Lord Guanjuan's. The 2 marquises both came from the Broken Moon clan and they knew each other now that they were in the mortal world. As they spoke, the youths behind the 2 old men started to inspect each other. It was obvious that the geniuses led by Lord Guanjuan had the advantage in terms of overall strength. "This is my granddaughter, Lu Yu." Lord Sangtia introduced the girl behind him. Lu Yu was only 14 or 15 years old, the same age as Zhao Feng, but she was at the 8th rank of the martial path. At the same age, Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan couldn't compare to her. There were around 100 youths gathered at the entrance, and most of them were at least at the 7th rank of the martial path. Even those below the 7th rank of the martial path were extremely young, only 12 or 13 years old. Looking at those who had reached the 6th rank of the martial path at 12 or 13 years old, Zhao Feng couldn't help but sigh. When he was in the Green Leaf Village and the Zhao clan, he was like a frog at the bottom of a well. These youths came from many forces, and they were recommended to the Broken Moon clan. Some came from the province city, such as Zhao Feng and his disciples. Some of them came from big families or hidden families, so they had a certain quota. There were also a few that came from the royal family of the Cloud Country. "Look, it's the princess of the Cloud Country, Yunmingxiang," some youths in the crowd said in low voices. Zhao Feng's gaze turned towards the youths in the royal family. One of them was a beautiful girl who was 15 or 16 years old. She had a noble aura and her looks were exquisite. Princess Yunmingxiang's cultivation had reached the peak of the 8th rank, the same as Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan. Apart from them, there were also many geniuses in the crowd. However, Zhao Feng hadn't found anyone that was on par with Bai Moi. There was a genius of the 9th rank in the crowd, but he was 17 or 18 years old, much older than Bai Moi. "Lord Guanjuan, which one of them is Bai Moi?" Lord Tsangtia had a smile on his face as he inspected Zhao Feng and the others. Hearing Bai Moi's name, Lord Guanjuan's expression became slightly ugly, but he didn't explain much and simply introduced Zhao Feng and the others. Lord Tsangtia could see that Zhao Feng was the leader of the three. His granddaughter, Lu Yu, also looked at Zhao Feng with interest. Zhao Feng's age was the same as her and their cultivation was the same, so they were evenly matched. However, Zhao Feng's eyes scanned across the crowd and he didn't even look at Lu Yu and the others. This scene made Lu Yu's eyebrows furrow. Chapter 106. The change in expression on Zhao Feng's face was caught by Lu Yu. It was obvious that he didn't put any of the geniuses here in his eyes. Even when he glanced at the genius of the 9th rank, his eyes were still filled with disdain. "Humph." Lu Yu's eyebrows furrowed as she harumphed, but she didn't hide the unhappiness in her eyes. The geniuses at the scene were all very young. Every single one of them was a genius in their respective factions, so they were extremely confident and would never admit defeat. Zhao Feng realized that he had lost his composure when he saw Lu Yu's unhappiness. Ever since he entered the sect, he only saw Bai Moi as his true opponent. He didn't care about anyone else. "Lord Guanjuan, how is your disciple's talent? What rank of spiritual body does he have?" Lord Tsangtia asked in a probing tone. The person he was asking was Zhao Feng. Hearing this, Nan Gongfan's lips curled into a mocking smile. Lord Guanjuan shook his head. "It's just average talent." He didn't want to talk about Zhao Feng's talent. But this made Lord Tsangtia and Lu Yu even more curious. "Humph, I don't believe that his talent is better than mine." Lu Yu's face was filled with confidence. Late at night, at the entrance of the mountain path, the geniuses were whispering amongst themselves. Because the clan's examination had to wait until tomorrow morning, everyone was waiting at the entrance. The night was long and they still had to wait for a few more hours. Occasionally, one or two youths would get into a fight. "Xiao Sun, don't think that you can look down on us just because you've reached the 9th rank of the martial path." Sounds of arguing came from not far away. Everyone turned to look and saw a young man in black clothes in the 9th stage of the martial path clashing with several other young geniuses. The youth in black was Xiao Sun, the only genius of the 9th rank. "A bunch of trash." Xiao Sun looked at the youths of the 7th and 8th rank coldly. The aura of the 9th rank of the martial path surged towards them. The youths facing him felt their blood flow slow and they couldn't breathe properly. "What are you afraid of? Let's attack together." Two youths of the 8th rank pounced towards Xiao Sun from the left and right. Instantly, the three youths were locked in combat. Every single one of the youths present had cultivated a profound martial art, and their strength was rarely matched against those of the same level. The combined strength of the two 8th-stage youths was comparable to an ordinary 9th-stage martial Dao cultivator. However, Xiao Sun was no pushover either, as he had cultivated a holy martial skill and a holy martial skill. In just a few rounds, the other two youths had no chance of fighting back. Xiao Sun's strength is close to Bei Mua's. Zhao Feng evaluated in his heart. It had already been 20 days since Bei Mua left. Sun Yuanhao had a baby-like face, and he was also shorter than the other youths. Zhao Feng could feel an aura similar to Bei Mua's from this youth. As if sensing Zhao Feng's gaze, Sun Yuanhao suddenly turned his head and the two looked at each other. Sun Yuanhao blinked his eyes and smiled at him with an innocent look on his face. Time passed by slowly. A few hours later, a dim light appeared in the distant horizon. At the moment of dawn, everyone saw the long-awaited sunrise. The faint rays of the sun shone on the fog of the Sky Moon Mountain, reflecting a misty silver glow. As the sun rose up, the outline of the Sky Moon Mountain could be seen. However, there was a weird mist around the mountain, making it hard to see what was going on. Zhao Feng was an exception. His left eye contracted and his gaze became sharp, as if he could see through the mist. Faintly, Zhao Feng saw a scene that was cut off from the rest of the world. Within the mist, there were small streams, lakes, and even fields with all sorts of flowers and herbs. On the Green Mountain, there were many buildings. The closer it was to the center, the more luxurious it was. When his left eye was pushed to its limit, Zhao Feng saw a deep green palace floating in the air. It was surrounded by a layer of green lightning that was as thick as a thumb. It gave off an ancient and desolate aura. What is that? The entire palace is floating in the air, dancing with the rain and lightning. Zhao Feng was stunned. Every scene and object in the world of the sects was filled with a strange mood and structure, different from the outside world. This was especially so for the floating palace, dancing with the rain and lightning. It gave people the feeling that they were in an era of legends. Zhao Feng's heart couldn't calm down. He felt his left eye twitch as if it had sensed something. But he couldn't ask anyone else. Because the hall was extremely far away and was shrouded in mist, it was blocked by a mysterious force. Even those at the ascended mortality realm wouldn't be able to see it. When a bright white light rose up from the other side of the mountain, Zhao Feng's left eye saw the end of the winding mountain road. There was a 10,000-pound stone door that was surrounded by a white light that slowly rose into the air. The clans open. Someone in the crowd made a sound, and everyone cheered. Tang! 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 Some figures quickly jumped onto the winding, U-shaped bluestone mountain path. The entrance exam is about to begin. Lord Guanjuan reminded the three disciples as he led the way. After walking down the steep road, the group arrived in front of the 10,000-pound stone door. This stone door was the entrance of the Broken Moon clan. At the entrance, there were 4 youths who gave off an aura that was enough to make those at the 9th rank of the martial path tremble. Zhao Feng opened his left eye and found that the strength of the 4 youths was on par with Lord Guanjuan and the other Holy Realm cultivators. Lord Guanjuan's cultivation was at the 2nd sky of the Ascended Realm and the 4 youths were around the same. In the outside world, they would be giants with martial prowess, but in the sect, they were just guards. Lord Guanjuan and the other older generation cultivators all took out a special token and passed through. Greetings, Deacon Qiu. At the entrance, another group of clan members appeared. There were more than 10 of them and they gave off a suffocating aura. These sect members were all mortal shedding stage powerhouses dressed in green robes with black patterns. In other words, they were sage stage powerhouses who were high and mighty in the eyes of the outside world. The one at the front was a chubby middle-aged man and he was the Deacon Qiu that everyone bowed to. Greetings, Deacon Qiu. Lord Guanjuan and the others all came forward and bowed respectfully. The youths below didn't dare to let their guard down and they also bowed. Zhao Feng felt that the aura from Deacon Qiu was extremely deep and it didn't leak out at all. His left eye slightly opened and he felt a surge of power within Deacon Cho's body which made his blood shake and his left eye twitch uneasily. This Deacon Cho's strength is probably several times stronger than Master. He can kill normal Holy Realm cultivators with a flick of his finger. Zhao Feng's heart trembled and he came to this conclusion the moment he opened his left eye. He didn't dare to look too much as he was afraid that Deacon Cho would notice. "Everyone, follow me." Deacon Cho glanced at the crowd indifferently. It was a look of indifference as if he was looking at ants. Soon, the group of people arrived at a tall stone stage. On the stone platform, there was a crystal pillar that was 100 feet tall and half a meter in diameter. It sparkled under the sunlight. The first test is the spiritual sky pillar. "Everyone, get your number token." Deacon Cho instructed his subordinates to have the elders bring the youngsters to register and input their basic information before receiving the corresponding number token. Zhao Feng, number 49. Yang Qingshan, number 50. When they were getting their number tokens, Zhao Feng realized that there were some clan members around the stage. One of them was a handsome youth wearing a black robe who smiled at Lord Guanjuan. "Senior Master Su Ran, we meet again." Yang Qingshan and Lord Guanjuan looked over and their faces were filled with wariness and hostility. This handsome youth was the person who had taken Bei Moi away from the Guanjuan palace, Quan Chen. Chapter 107. Quan Chen's appearance made Zhao Feng and company feel uneasy. Lord Guanjuan said calmly, "Don't worry, he's just a disciple at the third sky of the Ascended Realm and he can't interfere with your test." On the stone platform, Deacon Cho was in control of the situation. He glanced at the surrounding members of the sect with a warning look. The spectating members felt as if they had been struck by lightning and they all moved away from Deacon Cho, maintaining silence. Quan Chen wasn't an exception and he didn't dare go against Deacon Cho's orders. In the Broken Moon clan, deacons were already at the middle level of the clan. Not only did they have power, they also had the ability to look down on cultivators at the Ascended Realm. The first test, Spiritual Sky Pillar, is to test your talent. Do you see that crystal pillar? That's what the Broken Moon clan uses to test talent. Lord Guanjuan introduced. Zhao Feng and company all looked at the crystal pillar which was 10 yards tall. It was similar to the crystal ball they had tested before, but it was definitely of a higher grade. Another while later. The geniuses present each received their own number tags and entered their simple personal information. The first test, Spiritual Sky Pillar, begins. Number 1 Zhang Junqing. A sect disciple announced loudly. On the stone stage, only Deacon Cho sat on the chair and his subordinates were responsible for maintaining order and guiding the test. Soon, number 1 Zhang Junqing stepped onto the stone stage and arrived in front of the Spiritual Sky Pillar. The method of testing was the same as the one Zhao Feng and the others had tested before. Focus your mind and insert your inner strength into it. When a layer of white light rippled on the heavenly spirit pillar, and a crystalline light of 40 feet appeared on it. The entire spiritual sky pillar was 10 yards tall. 40 yards meant that the talent of a mortal body was low, middle, high, and peak. The youth's result was 40 yards, which meant that he had a peak mortal body. A measly mortal body dares to step into the world of the clan? Get rid of the clan. A cold and loud voice echoed around the stone platform. The youth who had been tested had lost his soul as he walked down the stage and was kicked out by the clan disciples. This scene caused Zhao Feng's group to look at each other in confusion. One had to know that a genius like Zhao Linlong's aptitude was around the upper grade of the mortal body. At most, it would not exceed the limits of the mortal body. With this kind of talent, he was actually expelled in the first round of the sect test. In reality, not every disciple had a special crystal ball like Lord Guanjuan's which allowed them to test their talent. Following that, a few young geniuses went up the stage to take the test. The result of the second youth's test was that his body lit up with 15 feet of crystal light, indicating that he had a low-grade spirit body. Low-grade spirit body, pass. First round, 2 points. According to the rules of the test, as long as it surpassed 4 meters of light, one would be able to score points and not be expelled. 4.5 feet, 1 point, represented the half-spirit body. 15 feet was a perfect score of 2, representing a low-grade spirit body. 5.5 feet was divided into 3, which was between the low and medium spiritual bodies. So on and so forth. If one had a superior spirit body, one would be able to get 6 points in the first round. 6 points, to a certain extent, was a perfect score. Based on Beimoi's talent, he would be able to reach 10 points in the first test, which would allow him to enter the sect. The first test was the most important one, as it determined the fate of every youth. Number 27, Xiao Sun. The voice of the clan's disciples sounded out. The youths all looked at Xiao Sun, who was the only genius of the 9th rank. Xiao Sun's cultivation of the 9th rank even caught Deacon Qiu's attention as he stepped onto the stage. Wang, the heavenly spirit pillar lit up with a crystal light that was 6.5 feet tall. The dazzling brilliance could be seen from several miles away. 6.5 feet. The youths below all exclaimed. 6.5 feet pass. First round, 5 points. Xiao Sun's first round score was close to a perfect score. In theory, 6 points was a perfect score. If Xiao Sun could get 6 points in the first round, he would be directly selected by the clan. He was only half a point behind. The test was still ongoing. Almost a third of the youths would be eliminated in the first round. Number 33, Yun Mingxiang. At a certain moment, the eyes of the youths below the stage were attracted by a noble girl. This time, it was the princess of the cloud country, Yun Mingxiang. Wang. The heavenly spiritual pillar lit up with a golden light. Yun Mingxiang's talent had reached a medium spiritual body. 6.5 feet pass. First round, 4 points. In reality, most of the geniuses had scored less than 6 feet. Yun Mingxiang was not only beautiful, but she was also the princess of a country. Adding on her intermediate spiritual body, one could imagine her future achievements. Zhao Feng couldn't help nodding his head. The people he had noticed before all had decent talent. Number 41, Lu Yu. A beautiful girl in a flower dress floated onto the stage. Zhao Feng inspected Lu Yu with interest. Before, Lu Yu seemed to be unhappy with him, and she seemed to be very confident. He just didn't know what talent she had. Wang. Dazzling crystalline light burst forth from the heavenly spirit pillar. As the light swallowed and spat out, everyone within a radius of 5 kilometers could see it clearly. My God! The faces of the youths below the stage changed dramatically. The crystal light on the crystal pillar extended to more than 20 meters. 7 feet. Some of the youths were shocked. Not bad. Quan Chen, who was secretly watching the test, had a disdainful smile on his face. Low-tier spiritual body? People like this are destined to stay at the bottom of the clan if they don't have anything special to support them. Quan Chen didn't put Zhao Feng's talent in his eyes, not to mention his master who was an elder of the clan. The test continued. Zhao Feng's performance was very ordinary and didn't attract many people's attention. Lord Guanjuan also let out a breath. According to the plan, Zhao Feng's performance was very successful. Next was Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan, who got 6.5 yards respectively. Zhao Feng didn't think that Yang Qingshan would also have a middle-tier spiritual body, and Nan Gongfan was between low and middle-tier. Middle-tier spiritual body? This talent isn't bad, but it's almost impossible for him to threaten master. I should pay more attention to this Yang Qingshan. Quan Chen paid attention to Yang Qingshan's performance, but he still had a relaxed expression. The test was coming to an end. Number 72, Kong Yinhao. The name of this test caught Zhao Feng's attention. A 13 to 14-year-old youth with a baby face walked onto the stage. His age was even younger than Zhao Feng, but he was already at the 8th rank of the martial path. Such potential caught Deacon Qiu's attention. Kong Yunhao was slightly nervous as he placed his hand on the sky spiritual pillar. Wang, on the sky spirit pillar, 20 to 30 feet of crystal light rose up and paused for a moment. Everyone was slightly surprised. Everyone had a positive evaluation of Kong Yunhao's talent. After all, he had such a high cultivation at such a young age. Wang. The light on the sky spiritual pillar fluctuated up and down, showing signs of instability. Suddenly, the crystalline light extended from 20 to 30 feet to 50 feet, and then to 20 feet. How weird. This scene made Zhao Feng think back to when Zhao Yufei had tested with the crystal ball. It was similar and slightly chaotic. But this time, the test was on the sky spiritual pillar, so it was of a higher level. Wang, the light on the sky spiritual pillar suddenly jumped to 6 yards, closing in on 7 yards. Oh my god! What's going on? Some of the people below the stage exclaimed in shock. This situation, could it be a rare changeable spiritual body? Deacon Qiu exclaimed. Wang, suddenly, the heavenly spirit pillar erupted with a blinding light. That crystalline pillar of light extended to 80 feet. This scene even startled the surrounding mountains for dozens of miles. 8 yards! Everyone's jaws dropped. Quan Chen's jaw almost dropped. This talent is comparable to Bei Mua's. Another super genius. This is a true changeable spiritual body. Zhao Feng recovered from his shock and Lord Guanjuan beside him also had a puzzled expression. Chapter 108. Sun Yuanhao's result made Zhao Feng sweat. At the same time, Lord Guanjuan's heart trembled. This was a true changeable spiritual body. Zhao Feng was a fake changeable spiritual body. But due to his cultivation level, Lord Guanjuan couldn't think of the reason as changeable bodies were too rare. Maybe Sun Yuanhao's changeable spiritual body was stronger than Zhao Feng's, which was why his result was better. At this time, everyone present, including Deacon Qiu and some of the sex experts, were shocked. The heavenly spirit pillar emitted a brilliant light that shot into the sky, causing the wind and clouds to churn. Its momentum was astonishing, and it almost alarmed half of the heavenly moon mountain. A changeable spiritual body is at least comparable to a peak-grade spiritual body. Anyone who gets full marks in the first test will be accepted by the clan. Deacon Wan came to his senses and announced loudly. Sun Yuanhao's result was even higher than Lu Yuer's and he was accepted by the clan in the first test. Sun Yuanhao walked off the stone stage and he attracted the envious and jealous gazes of the nearby clan members. A genius like him will soon be accepted as a disciple by one of the higher-ups of the sect. Lord Guanjuan sighed. Looking at Sun Yuanhao, he couldn't help but think of Bei Mua. So, a rapid air-piercing sound came from the peak of a mountain a few miles away. A whistling airflow surged between heaven and earth, and an invisible power descended from the sky. Everyone's heart clenched as they felt the pressure. It was as if they were ants trying to fight against the heavens. In the distance, a dazzling golden figure stepped on the void and flew toward them as if he was riding the wind and waves. The golden figure seemed to be the ruler of the heavens and every step he took gave off a powerful aura. Under the pressure, even the sacred martial realm experts were terrified. Their qi and blood stagnated, making it difficult for them to move. Zhao Feng's left eye saw through several miles of space and saw a golden-robed male surrounded by a layer of golden light fly through the air. Flying through the air. Zhao Feng's mind trembled. Under this vast pressure, all the blood in his body trembled, and he felt an energy pressing down on his soul. Ever since he had entered the path of martial arts, Zhao Feng had never thought that martial artists could reach the level of flight. This was the dream of all humans, but it was a power that only existed in legends. Even his master, Lord Guanjuan, could only float in the air for a few breaths, but it couldn't be considered true flight. "Greetings, Elder Shui!" Deacon Wan exclaimed. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and respectfully bowed toward the golden-robed man in the air. Voila! The members of the sect below almost all knelt down and worshipped him. The golden-robed elder stood in the air and he was like a god looking down on the members of the clan. Quan Chen's face was pale white and his body trembled. The man in front of him was an elder of the clan, and he was even older than his master, Haiyun Master. Shua! With a flash of golden light, the golden-robed elder landed in front of Sun Yuanhao. Ha ha ha! Changeable spiritual body. I've been wanting to take in a disciple and my luck is pretty good. Elder Shua inspected Sun Yuanhao from head to toe with joy. Sun Yuanhao. Are you willing to become this elder's disciple? According to the rules, as long as you become an elder's disciple, you can immediately become an inner disciple. Deacon Qiu reminded from the side. Under everyone's envious gaze, Sun Yuanhao's face was bright red as he nervously nodded his head. Disciple is willing. Elder Shua let out a long string of laughter and grabbed the boy's hand. With a golden arc of light behind him, he flew to the mountain range in the distance. After this, the first test, spiritual sky pillar, came to an end. In Zhao Feng's mind, the image of the elder flying through the air like a god appeared and his heart couldn't calm down. These are the experts of the three heavens of the true spirit realm. They have the ability to fly for a short period of time and control unimaginable power. They're no longer normal beings, Lord Guanjuan sighed as his eyes were filled with admiration and respect. However, Lord Guanjuan's eyes dimmed as he knew that he had no fate with reaching the true spirit realm. Below the true spirit realm was the seventh sky of the ascended realm. The seventh sky meant that one had to go through 7 steps and evolve 7 times before turning into a higher being, which was the true spirit realm. To a certain degree, the true spirit realm was the evolution of a normal human into the true spirit realm. Therefore, some things that humans couldn't do could be easily done by those at the true spirit realm. Another while later, the first test, spiritual sky pillar, ended. There were a total of 40 to 50 youths who had passed the first test and their scores ranged from 1 to 5. There were a total of 3 tests. The first test, the spiritual sky pillar, had a maximum score of 6 points. Once the full score was reached, they would be accepted into the clan. The next 2 tests, mechanism and 9 picture arrays, have 2 points each. You guys need to make good use of them, Lord Guanjuan said to Zhao Feng and the others. He especially reminded Zhao Feng. In the first test, Zhao Feng only got 2 points. The next 2 tests had a maximum score of 4 points, and if their scores were too low, they might even be eliminated. I understand. Zhao Feng knew what the next 2 tests were like. The second test, mechanism. Follow me. Deacon Qiu led the group to a 3-yard wide path. On both sides of the canyon road, there were mountain rocks. On both sides, there were man-made caves that were 10 zhang high, and there were at least 10 to 20 of them. This was the mechanism path. Zhao Feng looked at the black path in the middle of the canyon, and the caves on both sides gave off a dangerous aura. The rules of the second test are to enter the mechanism path and kill mechanical beasts. The strength of the mechanical beasts will be the same as your cultivation. Kill 2 and you'll get 1 point. Kill more than 4 and you'll get 2 points. Deacon Qiu announced the rules. In reality, Zhao Feng had already heard the rules of the second test from Lord Guanjuan. Number 3, Wu Su. A member of the clan shouted from the middle of the canyon. Tang! A young man in the 7th stage of the martial path leaped onto the path. Boom! From one of the caves, a black mechanical beast walked out. It was shaped like a human and it held a halberd in its hand as it swept towards the youth. Pang! After exchanging a blow with the mechanical beast, the youth's expression changed, and he quickly retreated. The mechanical beast's strength was comparable to the 7th rank of the martial path, but its strength and defense was stronger than normal 7th ranks. Adding on the halberd in its hand, it was like adding wings to a tiger. This meant that the mechanical beast's strength was comparable to an elite martial artist of the same rank. The young man fought with all his might and was drenched in sweat. Only then did he manage to defeat the mechanical beast. Boom! Boom! Just as he took a few steps, another two mechanical beasts stepped out. Not good. The youth's expression changed as he struggled to deal with the two mechanical beasts. As time passed, a few more mechanical beasts walked out of the caves. Luckily, these mechanical beasts weren't fast and the youth barely managed to kill one before he ran out of energy. Killing two mechanical beasts, you get 1 point. The member of the clan announced. Soon after, more geniuses went up to fight with the mechanical beasts. Most of the youths could barely kill 1 or 2 mechanical beasts, but it was hard to kill more than 4. The mechanical beasts have strong defense and strength, they are harder to deal with than others of the same rank. Zhao Feng's left eye saw the situation clearly. Even Xiao Sun, who was at the 9th rank of the martial path, felt pressured when facing a few 9th rank mechanical beasts. The higher one's cultivation, the stronger the mechanical beasts. Xiao Sun's cultivation was high, but he had to face even more 9th rank mechanical beasts. Finally, he managed to kill 3 9th rank mechanical beasts and got 1.5 points. Very few of the youths who took the test were able to get 2 points. 2 points was a full score in the second trial. But it wasn't easy to get a full score. One needed to kill at least 4 elites of the same rank and sometimes even a few mechanical beasts at the same time. Number 49, Zhao Feng. The voice of the clan sounded. Lord Guanjuan said, "You got a low score in the first trial, so you have to get a full score in the second trial." Talent was the most important factor in the clan's examination. Therefore, all the disciples including Quan Chen had already left the second and third trials. In their eyes, talent determined their future, so the next 2 trials didn't mean much. Tang! Zhao Feng's figure leapt into the path. Boom! A mechanical beast soon walked out from a nearby cave. Star Finger. Flowing Wind Stance. Zhao Feng's figure flashed as he quickly closed in on the mechanical beast, and with the Flowing Wind Stance, he easily dodged the mechanical beast's attack. Ding! Azure Mark's finger pierced right into the mechanical beast's elbow joint. Thump! The mechanical beast's hand that was holding the weapon instantly fell off. Such nimble and precise movements shocked everyone present. Boom! 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 Then, Zhao Feng's star finger blossomed in the air like stars. In just a few breaths, the mechanical beast's joints, arms and legs were all taken off by Zhao Feng and it fell to the ground. What a precise finger technique, and that movement technique's conception, making the mechanical beast run around in circles. Lord Sangtia exclaimed, he couldn't help but look at Zhao Feng in a different light. Zhao Feng's finger skills had reached an unbelievable level in terms of attack, speed, and accuracy. Boom! Boom! Another 2 mechanical beasts soon appeared from the nearby caves. Star Finger. Flowing Wind Stance. Smoking Transparent Step. Zhao Feng's figure was like a ghost as he passed through the 2 mechanical beasts. Boom! After a few breaths, one of the mechanical beasts was cut into 8 pieces by Zhao Feng. As soon as Zhao Feng finished off the mechanical beast, another 3 mechanical beasts walked out from the nearby caves. A total of 4 mechanical beasts closed in on Zhao Feng at the same time. This meant that Zhao Feng had to face 4 mechanical beasts of the 9th rank, each with a strong defense. In this kind of situation, there were not many youths who could deal with it. 1 Star Finger. Tornado Stance. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed, and the moment he pointed his index finger, air exploded. The green mark seemed to drag along a tornado, its power and range increasing at the same time. Tornado Stance could increase the power of attack and range. Boom! The finger pierced through the mechanical beast's heart and it fell to the ground. It was hard to imagine how powerful that finger was. Killing a mechanical beast with 1 finger. The mechanical beast's defense was stronger than others of the same rank, comparable to a 9th rank martial artist. Boom! 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 Zhao Feng quickly pointed 3 times in the air. The finger force roared like a storm, and every finger easily pierced through the mechanical beast's body. Plop! Plop! rumble, the remaining 3 mechanical beasts were all killed by Zhao Feng's finger and they fell to the ground one by one. In a short while, Zhao Feng had killed a total of 5 mechanical beasts, leaving behind a group of dazed youths. Chapter 109. In the second test, Zhao Feng's performance could be said to be stunning, which was a stark contrast to his performance in the first test. Even Deacon Xiao and the others looked at Zhao Feng. Killing 5 mechanical beasts, 2 points. The clan announced Zhao Feng's full score. In the second test, killing 4 mechanical beasts would give you full points. It wasn't that there weren't people who could get full marks, but the number was extremely small and none of them could kill a mechanical beast in one move like Zhao Feng did. What a powerful strength! Every finger attack he unleashed at the end could injure an ordinary 9th stage expert. Xiao Sun was shocked as he inspected Zhao Feng. He had the highest cultivation amongst the youths, reaching the 9th rank of the martial path. Zhao Feng's display of strength made Xiao Sun's heart shake and he didn't have the confidence to beat Zhao Feng. The second test, Mechanism Road, proceeded in an orderly manner. Although Zhao Feng's performance wasn't bad, none of the clan members put it to heart. The most important part of the sect's entrance examination was the first stage, which took up 6 points. Zhao Feng's performance in this test meant that he was strong, but he could only get 2 points at most. No matter how strong he is, he won't be able to catch up to us in the future. Princess Yun Mingxiang glanced at Zhao Feng, but she didn't put him to heart. Zhao Feng could feel that his performance in the second test didn't receive much attention from the clan. Even some of the geniuses didn't say much about his strength. They seemed to think that Zhao Feng's talent was average and he wouldn't have much potential in the future. But this was also what Zhao Feng wanted, he didn't want to attract too much attention. Lord Guanjuan nodded his head, it didn't matter if Zhao Feng performed well in the second test. Not long later, the second test ended. Zhao Feng calculated that he had gotten 2 points in both the first and second tests, so he had a total of 4 points. Next is the 9-picture array. Deacon Xiao brought everyone to a quaint pagoda nearby. At this time, the elders who were in charge of guiding people were all turned away. Even the disciples who were taking the test entered one by one. This stage seems to be very mysterious. Zhao Feng muttered to himself. In the third test, the 9-diagram array, the geniuses participating in the test all entered and exited. Most of the geniuses walked out of the tower with furrowed brows. They were either frustrated or dispirited. In the third test, you must remain calm. I can see that you have an extraordinary level of comprehension in your studies. This test shouldn't be a problem. Lord Guanjuan said. Zhao Feng nodded his head. Because he had fused with the mysterious left eye, his comprehension, analysis, and reaction speed were all extraordinary. After a long time, it was finally Zhao Feng's turn. Number 49, Zhao Feng. In the voice of the sect's powerhouse, Zhao Feng stepped into the quaint tower. The tower was empty. There weren't even a few sect members. Go upstairs. There were 2 sect members on the stairs. Zhao Feng was curious as he walked up the stairs to the second floor. Upon entering the second floor, Zhao Feng noticed that there was a large painting on the opposite wall. The scene in the painting was mysterious and it seemed to be moving. Focusing his eyes, he could see all sorts of scenes floating in the air. Zhao Feng was shocked, there was something wrong with this painting. Cough! A voice broke Zhao Feng's hesitation. On the left and right of the painting sat an old man, one white-robed old man and one red-faced old man. Deacon Xiao just stood near the stairs with a slightly reserved expression. On the second floor, Deacon Xiao stood to the side and didn't sit down. Zhao Feng realized that the 2 old men in front of the painting weren't normal. Illusion fish picture of the 9-diagram array, appear. The white-robed old man clapped his hand and the painting on the wall started to change. Zhao Feng found that the scene in the painting was complicated. The colors and lines intertwined and changed from the first transformation to the 9th. Illusion fish picture, 9 transformations. This illusion fish picture has 9 transformations. The further you go, the more complicated it gets. The content of the test is, start from the first transformation, how many fish are there in each transformation and state their color. The white-robed old man said. The number of fish and color? Zhao Feng nodded his head in agreement. Very quickly, Zhao Feng started to look at the first transformation. The first transformation was relatively simple. There weren't many lines and colors in the transformation of the picture. A total of 3 fish, 1 black and 2 green. Zhao Feng answered. The white-robed old man was expressionless as he activated the second transformation. Zhao Feng looked. The second transformation was slightly more complicated, but it couldn't escape his sharp eyes. 5 fish, 1 black, 2 red, and 2 white. Zhao Feng answered quickly. The white-robed old man and the red-faced old man were slightly surprised. The third stage had 9 diagrams. Passing 1 stage would give you half a point. Passing 2 stages would give you 1 point. Most of the youths before could get 1 point, but they had to think for a long time. Zhao Feng's answering speed was much faster than the other youths. Very quickly, the third transformation of the illusion fish picture appeared. 8 fishes, 2 black, 2 white, 3 red, Zhao Feng answered easily. The 2 elders couldn't help but glance at each other as they inspected Zhao Feng. When the illusion fish picture reached the third transformation, it was indescribable and it was hard to differentiate between real and fake. Even some of the Ascended Realm experts would have to think for a while when facing the third transformation. And Zhao Feng answered in just a few breaths. Very quickly. The pattern changed and reached the fourth type. 13 fishes, 5 blue, 3 gold. Zhao Feng paused for a moment before giving his answer. He reached the fourth transformation in one breath. The white-robed old man and the red-robed old man's eyes were filled with shock. According to the rules, reaching the fourth transformation would give him full points. However, continue. The white-robed old man slapped the diagram once again. Buzz, the fifth transformation was extremely complicated. Various scenes changed rapidly. Zhao Feng seemed to see some fishes playing in the water, intertwining and occasionally leaping out of the water. If he missed any detail in the fifth transformation, he might miss the final answer. After thinking for a while, Zhao Feng answered, 27 fish, 7 brown, 6 orange. The 2 old men's expressions changed as they looked at Zhao Feng with excitement and surprise. Immediately after, the white-robed old man started the sixth transformation. The scene in the sixth diagram was extremely vivid and it almost made Zhao Feng fall into an illusion. At this moment, Zhao Feng's eyes became sharp and he stared at the array for a while before giving the answer, 48 fishes, 9 purple, 12 black. Without a doubt, he got it right again and it didn't take long. The 2 old men's expressions were filled with shock as they exchanged glances with each other. Zhao Feng faintly sensed something. Normally, after the fourth transformation, the following diagrams were beyond the scope of ordinary geniuses, unless they were extremely talented. The white-robed old man took a deep breath and started the seventh diagram. The difficulty of the seventh diagram increased once again. Zhao Feng had to fully activate his left eye to see through it. This time, he thought for a while before giving the wrong answer. Phew! The white-robed old man and the red-robed old man let out a breath of relief. If Zhao Feng could continue to answer correctly, then he would be a super monster. However, they didn't know that Zhao Feng had purposely given the wrong answer. I am the vice head of the Grasswood Division. Are you willing to join the Grasswood Division and become my disciple? The red-faced old man smiled faintly. Vice head? Master? Zhao Feng paused. Old man Guan, what do you mean by this? You want to steal my disciple? Can't you see that this brat specializes in arrays and is more suitable to join the clan mission division? The white-robed old man was slightly angry. For some reason, the 2 old men started to argue and neither side was willing to give way. This scene caused Deacon Xiu, who was not far away, to be shocked. He didn't think that a youth with normal talent would cause two vice-heads to argue. There were many organizations in the Broken Moon clan, such as the Law Enforcement Division, Grasswood Division, Clan Mission Division, Central Division, etc. The Grasswood Division was responsible for pill making, farming and healing, etc. In the Grasswood Division, pill masters were the most popular. Old Man Guan was one of the best pill masters in the Grasswood Division. Correspondingly, the Clan Mission Division was responsible for all sorts of things in the clan, including the maintenance of arrays. The white-robed old man was an extraordinary array master in the clan. Even the 9-picture array was created by him and several other array masters. The 9-picture array had been set up for dozens of years, and this was the first time someone had reached the 7th transformation at once. "Young man, who do you want to be your disciple?" the white-robed old man asked eagerly. "Young man, you might not understand, but pill masters have a high status in the world of clans." The red-faced old man didn't admit defeat. An array master and a pill master both had higher cultivation than Deacon Shou. The two vice-heads both wanted to take Zhao Feng as their disciple. Zhao Feng didn't know what to do. If he chose one, he would definitely offend the other. Although he did need a backer to enter the clan, who knew if these two would be reliable? Maybe one word from Hai Yun Master would be able to make the two Vice Hall Masters agree. According to Lord Guanjuan's plan, he would first become an inner disciple, then he would consider finding a backer, at least an elder. "Thank you for your good intentions, but I've just entered the clan and I don't know anything about pill making or arrays. I just want to become an inner disciple before considering anything else." Zhao Feng tactfully declined and expressed his ambition. The white-robed old man and red-faced old man looked at each other with disappointment in their eyes. But their eyes twinkled, they didn't seem to want to give up so easily. After all, Zhao Feng didn't say that he would definitely become an inner disciple before considering anything else. Although the two old men were vice-heads, they didn't have the right to make Zhao Feng an inner disciple. If that's the case, then let's observe for a while. Soon, Zhao Feng's score came out. It was another 2 points, full marks. Before he left, Zhao Feng made a request. He wanted to see the 8th and 9th transformation of the illusion fish picture. Zhao Feng felt that the illusion fish picture was even more complicated than the 4 wind stances. The two vice-heads obviously wouldn't reject him. Zhao Feng opened his left eye and took the last 2 transformations into the dimension of his left eye. At this time, the 9 transformations of the illusion fish picture appeared in the dimension of his left eye. Nan Gongfan had also successfully entered the top 20 and was ranked 17th. The 3 of them successfully entered the sect. Lord Guanjuan couldn't help but feel proud. Many of the geniuses in this examination were led by their elders. However, it was extremely rare to see someone like him, who led a few geniuses and all got selected. "Lord Guanjuan, your 3 disciples are all very balanced." Lord Sungtia laughed. Lord Guanjuan could obviously hear the playfulness in his words. Although his 3 disciples had passed the examination, their talent wasn't high and they were destined to be at the bottom of the clan. On the other hand, Lord Sungtia's granddaughter, Lu Yu, had a high-tier spiritual body, so she had more room to grow in the future. Soon, the list of people who had entered the clan was announced. The Broken Moon clan had accepted a total of 22 disciples and many of them were geniuses. For example, Sun Yuanhao had a changeable body, so he was directly taken in as a disciple by an elder. Apart from that, Lu Yu, Xiao Sun and Yun Mengxiang all had extraordinary talent. On the same day, a total of 21 youths became outer disciples of the Broken Moon clan and they went to the Outer Hall Division to register. Deacon Shou was the deacon of the Outer Hall Division and he arranged the outer disciples and told them the rules of the clan. Walking on the winding mountain path, the youths excitedly followed Deacon Shou to the Outer Hall Division. "Oh my God, that palace!" Suddenly, a youth exclaimed as he stared at a dark green palace in the clouds. The dark green palace was mysterious and majestic. It floated within the clouds, and it was surrounded by a layer of green lightning that was as thick as a thumb. It emitted an ancient and desolate aura. The youths all noticed this scene and their hearts shook. It was as if they were in an ancient era. In reality, Zhao Feng's left eye had already seen the mystic ancient palace and he was also stunned at that time. Now that he had entered the clan, Zhao Feng's eyes saw it even more clearly. This is the ancient ruins floating crest palace, the foundation of the Broken Moon clan, and it is a forbidden area of the clan. Anyone who trespasses will be killed. Deacon Qiu's voice was indifferent and he didn't say anything else. The youths suppressed the shock and curiosity in their hearts as they felt the mysteriousness of the floating crest palace. Zhao Feng's sharp eyes scanned the floating crest palace and he felt an ancient aura from it, which made his left eye twitch a few times. On the way, the mysteries of the clan opened the eyes of the youths. Around 10 in the evening, Deacon Qiu finally arranged the 21 new outer disciples to stay in the outer hall division. Before this, Zhao Feng and company said their goodbyes to Lord Guanjuan. Before Lord Guanjuan left, he gave Zhao Feng a deep look before leaving in dejection. Zhao Feng's heart was moved by the lonely figure that was fading away. After entering the clan, not only will I fulfill Master's wish, I will also reach the peak of this era. Zhao Feng clenched his fists as a ball of hot blood seemed to burn in his heart. The vastness of the sect world made him yearn for it. A world where experts were as common as clouds also deeply stimulated him. According to the rules of the Broken Moon clan, the new outer disciples would be given a few days to familiarize themselves with the clan before they would be given a job. After entering the clan, they would enjoy the resources and benefits, but they would also have a job to do. Lord Guanjuan had already told Zhao Feng and company about this. There were good and bad positions arranged by the sect. Some bad jobs such as being a miner, carrying water and dung. There were even some dangerous tasks, such as picking herbs on steep cliffs, hunting ferocious beasts, exploring unknown ruins, and so on. 3 days later, the clan will give us a job. I'm just afraid that Quan Chen will make it hard for us. Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan were slightly worried. Soldiers come with arms, water comes with earth. On the other hand, Zhao Feng was calm and he wasn't afraid of any challenges. In these 3 days, the new outer disciples lived in the outer hall division and each of them had their own wooden house. In just a few hours, the new disciples started to fight with some of the older outer disciples. The sound of fighting came from the outside, but it soon stopped. When Zhao Feng walked out of the wooden house, he saw 2 or 3 new outer disciples lying on the ground, injured and panting. Newbies, behave yourselves. I'm giving you face by asking you to wash clothes and fetch water for me. A man with a scar on his face glanced at the wooden houses of the new disciples. His eyes were cold and filled with malicious intent. Chen Feng, rank 28th of the outer disciples. This guy has the time to bully the new disciples. Some of the older outer disciples popped their heads out. In the Broken Moon clan, there was a ranking for the outer disciples. This Chen Feng was ranked 28th and his cultivation had reached the peak 9th rank. Zhao Feng estimated that his strength was on par with Yi Linyan's, or maybe even a bit stronger. Even Xiao Sun, who had the highest cultivation amongst the new disciples, didn't dare to challenge Chen Feng. Under Chen Feng's despotic power, the few outer sect disciples unwillingly went to fetch water and wash clothes for him. Zhe, I heard that there are 2 pretty girls amongst the new disciples, and one of them is even a princess. Chen Feng licked his lips. Soon, he arrived at Princess Yun Mingxiang's place. Creak. Yun Mingxiang opened the door and said coldly, "Do you dare to touch me?" Chen Feng smiled as he didn't dare to offend Yun Mingxiang. Being the princess of the Cloud Country, Yun Mingxiang had a close relationship with the upper echelon of the Broken Moon clan. Furthermore, Xiao Sun came from the number 1 hidden family in the Cloud Country, so he also had connections within the clan. Even Lu Yu had a high-tier spiritual body, so she was treated well within the outer disciples. Even the deacons treated her well. Even Chen Feng had to think twice before dealing with the new disciples with high talent. This Chen Feng only knows how to bully the weak and fear the strong. The new disciples all held grudges in their hearts. Chen Feng didn't dare offend Xiao Sun, Yun Mingxiang and Lu Yuhe, but he didn't care about the other new disciples. Zhao Feng coldly looked at all of this, but he didn't interfere. That night, Zhao Feng and the others stayed in the outer disciples' rooms. Late at night, the youths were extremely excited and they couldn't sleep easily. Zhao Feng sat down cross-legged and started to train silver wall technique and returning breath technique as he started to comprehend the 4 wind stances. Up until now, Zhao Feng had comprehended more than half of the 4 wind stances, and the third stance, partial wind stance, was 70 to 80% complete. He had even tried the 4th stance, burning wind stance. The intent and power of this stance was extremely strong and Zhao Feng felt terrified just by feeling it. Partial wind stance pursued extreme sharpness and was used for single target attacks. As for the blazing gale form, it pursued that kind of rampage, destruction, and violence that could incinerate all living things. On the morning of the 2nd day, Zhao Feng woke up from his meditation, stretched, and walked out of his room. "Kid! Wash my shoes and socks." A domineering voice sounded. Zhao Feng looked over and saw that it was Chen Feng, ranked 28th of the outer disciples. Chen Feng's tone was cold and had an undeniable sense of dominance. He threw a pair of smelly socks and shoes in front of Zhao Feng's room and turned to leave, as if he was certain that he could defeat Zhao Feng. In reality, when Chen Feng bullied the new disciples, he had already figured them out. For example, Zhao Feng's talent was average and his cultivation wasn't high, so Chen Feng wasn't worried that Zhao Feng would take revenge on him in the future. Does this guy really think he can defeat me? Zhao Feng's face darkened as he waved his hand and a strong gust of wind blew Chen Feng's shoes and socks into dust. Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan, who had just woken up, were shocked when they saw this. Chapter 111. Zhao Feng's actions not only made Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan worried, it also made the other new disciples sweat. Chen Feng threw his shoes in front of Zhao Feng's door and quickly left, not noticing what the latter had done. Only then did Nan Gongfan and Yang Qingshan let out a breath. Zhao Feng walked out of the outer disciples' residence and went to the other areas of the outer hall division. In a few days' time, the clan would be distributing tasks to the new disciples. Zhao Feng first had to familiarize himself with the clan, especially the environment of the outer hall division. Not long later, Zhao Feng arrived at the library of the outer hall division. This library belonged to the outer hall division and it was open to the outer disciples. Zhao Feng first looked at the martial skills and he couldn't help but be surprised. In the outer court's library, all half-saint grade cultivation methods and some saint grade martial tactics are open to the public. Zhao Feng couldn't believe it. In the countries outside of the clan, half-holy martial skills were out of reach for most cultivators. As for saint-grade martial tactics, they were legendary existences that were hard to come into contact with. Of course, in the clan, holy martial skills were called mortal martial skills. Mortal, spirit, earth, sky. This was how the clan categorized skills. Martial skills were also a type of skill. Martial skills were just a way to cultivate. Therefore, the world of sects wasn't limited to the cultivation of martial arts. It was collectively referred to as cultivation methods and encompassed all kinds of cultivation paths. Martial Dao is just a cultivation method in the world of sections. Cultivation methods are divided into 4 grades: mortal, spirit, earth, and heaven. Every grade is further divided into low grade, mid grade, high grade, and top grade. Zhao Feng knew a thing or two about this. His silver wall technique was a low-class mortal martial skill and it was one of the best amongst the low-class mortal martial skills. Zhao Feng roughly looked through the books and found that most of the mortal martial skills here weren't as good as his silver wall technique. He remembered that Lord Guanjuan had told him that once he became an inner disciple, he would come into contact with higher-ranked martial skills. In the end, Zhao Feng only looked at the mortal martial arts in the library. That was not his point. Then, Zhao Feng began to flip through the books related to the world of sects to make up for his lack of general knowledge. One of the books introduced the origins and history of the sects on the continent. Zhao Feng was not very interested in these things. However, there was a paragraph that described the cultivation system that had been passed down since ancient times. The path of cultivation is split into 8 realms: Consolidated Realm, Ascended Realm, True Spirit Realm, Origin Core Realm, Void God Realm, Mystic Light Realm, Heavenly Divine Realm. When Zhao Feng saw these contents, his heart skipped a beat. This was the first time he had heard of such a vast space after the 3 heavens of the True Spirit Realm. However, according to the books, there were almost no cultivators above the True Spirit Realm in the Azure Flower continent. Thus, there was very little mention of the realms above the True Spirit Realm. Meanwhile, whether or not the last of the 8 great realms, the Heavenly Divinity Realm, existed was still a question. After reading several related books, Zhao Feng had a deeper understanding of the world of sects and the Azure Flower continent. After spending half a day in the book pavilion, Zhao Feng returned to his residence. When Zhao Feng returned to his room, he heard cries of pain coming from the wooden room next door. "Brother Yang! Brother Nan Gong!" Zhao Feng's expression changed as he walked out of his room. He then saw Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan with swollen faces in the room next door. What happened? Zhao Feng's expression went cold. Seeing his 2 senior martial brothers beaten to such a state, his heart dropped. "It's that bastard Chen Feng. He came to find us, and Brother Yang and I weren't his match even if we teamed up." Nan Gongfan gritted his teeth and said, "Preposterous." After knowing what had happened, Zhao Feng was enraged. It was him who had dragged Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan into this. 4 hours later, Chen Feng returned and found that Zhao Feng wasn't here. Not only did he not complete his mission, he even destroyed his shoes and socks, causing him to explode in anger. But at that time, Zhao Feng wasn't here, so Chen Feng vented his anger on Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan. Even when Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan teamed up, they were still beaten black and blue by Chen Feng. Zhao Feng couldn't help but admit that he had underestimated Chen Feng's strength. One had to know that Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan teamed up to suppress a normal 9th-rank cultivator. Yet, Chen Feng easily took care of the 2, which meant that his true strength was above Yi Linyan's. Where did Chen Feng go? Zhao Feng looked around and decided to take revenge for his 2 senior martial brothers. Tang! He leapt onto the roof, his gaze sharp, his left eye slightly opened, scanning the surroundings. At a certain moment, Zhao Feng's eyes landed on a pavilion a few miles away. In that pavilion, there were 3 to 4 figures. 2 of them were very familiar to Zhao Feng. One was Quan Chen, the other was Chen Feng. Other than them, there were also 2 outer disciples. "And, Chen Feng, you did well. In the future, don't let these brats have it easy." Quan Chen smiled warmly. Being an inner disciple, Chen Feng and the others in the pavilion were extremely respectful to him. Although Zhao Feng couldn't hear their conversation, he could guess what they were talking about. Just as Lord Guanjuan had predicted, even if Ha Yun Master didn't make things difficult for Zhao Feng and the others after they entered the clan, they would still be bullied and bullied by the people below. Good. Very good. Zhao Feng took a deep breath as his eyes turned cold. He returned to his room, sat cross-legged, and began to meditate on the 4 wind styles and star finger. Currently, Zhao Feng's silver wall technique couldn't break through in a short period of time, so the 4 wind stances and star finger were the best ways to increase his strength. Of the 4 wind stances, Zhao Feng started to progress from the 3rd stance to the 4th. Under the anger, Zhao Feng's understanding of the 4th stance, burning wind stance, increased. The 4th stance, burning wind stance, required a heart of destruction, and Zhao Feng's anger pushed him to this state. In addition, the mastery of Star Finger was gradually approaching the 7th level, which was also the highest level of this martial art. On the same night, Chen Feng came to find him again. New brat, we still haven't settled what happened in the day. A domineering voice sounded from outside. Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan, who were in the room next door, were shocked. Good. Under Chen Feng's shout, Zhao Feng opened the door and walked out slowly. At this time, the new disciples such as Xiao Sun, Yun Mengxiang and Lu Yu all came out to pay attention. What a clown! Zhao Feng walked towards Chen Feng step by step with a cold glint in his eyes. As his killing intent and fury surged, a destructive and berserk aura began to emanate from his body. This was the intent of the burning wind stance, but Zhao Feng hadn't mastered it yet. Chen Feng's heart skipped a beat. How could a brat of the 8th rank of the consolidated realm give him pressure? Mountain-splitting stance. Chen Feng raised his hand and executed a low-class mortal martial skill, which was equivalent to a holy martial skill. With just one stance, an aura that could split mountains and split the earth was emitted from Chen Feng's body. Star Finger. Tornado Stance. Zhao Feng pointed out his finger and an azure meteor pierced through the night sky, creating an explosion. Boom! A muffled explosion sounded out between the two. In the first exchange, Chen Feng and Zhao Feng both took a few steps back. Chen Feng was shocked. He didn't think that a youth of the 8th rank would be able to stand on equal ground with him. The new and old outer disciples who were watching the battle nearby were all shocked. Star Finger. Following that, Zhao Feng's finger art was like a starry sky, piercing through the night sky, beautiful like a dream. His star finger was at the highest level of the 7th rank, combining it with the tornado stance. Under full force, both speed and attack had reached an extreme. Poof! Poof! Boom! Explosions sounded out in the air as the dazzling rays of light appeared one after another. Even someone as strong as Chen Feng, who was in the pinnacle of the 9th rank, was forced to retreat under the torrential attacks. In just a short moment, a few finger-sized holes appeared on his clothes, indicating that he had suffered some light injuries. Mountain-splitting earth. Chen Feng suddenly let out a roar and executed an unprecedented move. As he struck out with his palm, the ground beneath his feet began to tremble. This was in the sect and the floor beneath his feet was incomparably hard, even stronger than steel. If it was outside, the ground would definitely crack. Star Finger. Partial Wind Stance. Zhao Feng's finger force contained a layer of coldness, like the cold winter wind. Partial Wind Stance, the 3rd stance of the 4-wind stance, focused on offense. Pft! Chen Feng's surrounding inner force was cut by the blade-like finger force, leaving a bloody mark on his chest. If it had been half an inch deeper, it would have pierced into his heart. Plop! Chen Feng fell to the ground with a pale face. Zhao Feng's attack just now was far too sharp. Just a hair's breadth away from taking his life. Hiss! The surrounding outer disciples sucked in a breath of cold air. The power of the partial wind stance is so powerful. When it's combined with Star Finger, it has almost surpassed low-rank mortal martial arts. Even Zhao Feng himself was surprised. The intent of the partial wind stance was like a wind blade in winter, cruel and sharp, raising the power of Star Finger to a whole new level. If the 3rd stance, partial wind stance, was already so powerful, it was hard to imagine how terrifying the 4th stance, burning wind stance, would be. Get lost! Zhao Feng sent Chen Feng flying with a kick. He despised this kind of lackey from the bottom of his heart. Yes, yes! Chen Feng's face was pale white and he immediately retreated. After this battle, the surrounding outer disciples were filled with wariness towards Zhao Feng. The new disciples were all extremely happy. Xiao Sun and Yun Mengxiang looked at each other with shock on their faces. Brother Zhao, it's all thanks to you that we were able to vent our anger. Yang Qingshan said gratefully. Junior brother Zhao, you must be careful. I heard that all of the top 20 outer court disciples have a cultivation base at the half-step mortal shedding stage. Nan Gongfan reminded. The half-step ascended realm was the half-step holy realm in the mortal world, which was equivalent to the first guard. Zhao Feng nodded his head. Under this pressure, he could squeeze out more of his potential. As long as his opponent hadn't reached the Ascended Realm, he would at least have a fighting chance. But strangely, the Outer Hall division was silent for the next 2 days. Zhao Feng and company weren't disturbed at all. Using this chance, Zhao Feng used the time to comprehend Starfinger and broke through to the highest level, the 7th level. At the same time, Zhao Feng had basically comprehended the 3rd stance of the 4 wind stances, partial wind stance, which greatly increased his strength. Chapter 112. Starfinger and partial wind stance had reached the max level, which made Zhao Feng confident that he would be able to deal with all kinds of trouble. Starfinger was one of the top offensive skills in the outside world, and once it was trained to the 7th level, one would be able to dominate the 9th rank of the martial path. As for partial wind stance, it was an offensive skill of the 4 wind stances, and it wasn't any weaker than a half-holy martial art. Zhao Feng had merged partial wind stance's intent into Starfinger, which aimed for extreme offense, and its power had increased by more than 1 level. The perfect understanding of the two had almost surpassed a low-class mortal skill, and its power was close to a middle-class mortal skill. One had to know that Zhao Feng's silver wall technique was only a low-class mortal skill. According to what Zhao Feng knew, most of the outer disciples only trained 1 or 2 low-class mortal skills, and it was rare for them to reach the high level. As for middle-class mortal skills, only the inner disciples of the Broken Moon clan had access to them. Furthermore, if one didn't reach the Ascended Realm, they wouldn't be able to learn a middle-class mortal skill. There's only the Burning Wind stance left. It's the most profound, and I've only just learned it. Zhao Feng murmured. The Burning Wind stance was the strongest of the 4 wind stances, and if he could comprehend 60 to 70% of it, it wouldn't be impossible for him to challenge someone at the Ascended Realm. He stretched his back and walked out of the room to find Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan. Ever since Zhao Feng beat up Chen Feng, the 3 of them hadn't been disturbed for a few days. At this moment, the 3 met up, but Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan were still worried. The distribution of duties for the new disciples will be announced tomorrow, Yang Qingshan said. The 3 of them all knew that there were good and bad positions in the clan. We're just outer disciples right now. If we can't even solve this small problem, how can we compete with Beimua? Not to mention Ha Yun Master, who's an elder of the clan. Zhao Feng wasn't scared at all. His first goal right now was to become an inner disciple. The inner sect was where the true geniuses of the sect gathered. Geniuses like Beimua and Sun Yuanhao had already entered the inner sect and were disciples of the sect's elders. Exactly, if we can't even deal with these small fries in the outer court, then we wouldn't even have the qualifications to carry Beimua's shoes. Nan Gongfan and Nan Gongfan nodded their heads. Their confidence and fighting spirit had been restored. As the 3 of them were conversing, the residents of the outer disciples suddenly fell silent. He's coming. Some of them were muttering softly, their faces filled with panic. Who's here? Zhao Feng and the other 2 noticed the strange change in the atmosphere in the residence. Doesn't Ho Yuan, who's ranked 4th in the outer court disciple, have his own courtyard? Why is he here? Some of the outer disciples had fear and respect in their eyes. Everyone's gaze fell on the entrance of the residence. At this time, near the entrance of the residence, 3 people walked over. The one in the middle was a figure that was as tall as a diamond. His upper body was bare, revealing his iron-like muscles. He didn't need to purposely release his aura, but the power radiating from his body was enough to scare off deadly beasts and human cultivators. With every step the towering figure took, the ground seemed to tremble faintly, and the hearts of the nearby outer sect disciples trembled. He was ranked 4th in the outer court disciple, Ho Yuan. What a powerful body! With just his body alone, he can suppress normal cultivators of the 9th rank. Zhao Feng's left eye scanned the other party's bones and blood. In terms of body strengthening, Ho Yuan was even better than his silver wall technique, which was at the peak 8th level. Zhao Feng was certain that the other party had cultivated a body strengthening technique that wasn't any weaker than silver wall technique. What was more terrifying was that this person's cultivation had also reached the half-step ascended saint realm. Apparently, the top 20 of the outer disciples had all reached the half-step ascended saint realm, which was equivalent to first guard. It was hard to imagine how terrifying someone at the half-step ascended saint realm and had a body that could suppress normal cultivators of the 9th rank of the consolidated realm. Ta-ta! Ta-ta! Following Ho Yuan's footsteps, the nearby outer disciples felt chills run down their spine. Those that were close to him felt their scalp go numb and their blood flow stop. What power! Apart from Master, there has never been anyone who could give me so much pressure. Yang Qingshan took a deep breath and exchanged glances with Nan Gongfan, unable to hide the shock on his face. They were sure that Ho Yuan's strength surpassed first guard and was much stronger than normal cultivators at the half-step ascended saint realm. Zhao Feng scanned the two people on Ho Yuan's left and right. One of them was Chen Feng, who he had defeated a few days ago. Apart from Chen Feng, there was also a short-haired youth on Ho Yuan's right. This short-haired youth's cultivation had also reached the half-step ascended saint realm. The outer disciple ranked 13th, Ji Fengyun, why is he here? Don't the top 20 disciples in the outer court, as the reserve elites of the inner court, have their own courtyards? Everyone's gaze then turned to the short-haired youth. Of the three who came, Ho Yuan was ranked 4th in the outer sanctum. Next was Ji Fengyun, who was at the half-step ascended saint realm and ranked 13th. The weakest was Chen Feng, who was ranked 28th and was at the peak 9th rank of the consolidated realm. Chen Feng laughed coldly as he scanned the direction of Zhao Feng and company. He said something to Ho Yuan and Ji Fengyun in a low tone. Ho Yuan and Ji Fengyun's gazes then landed on Zhao Feng, Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan. Yang Qingshan and Nan Gongfan's hearts shook as their bodies froze and their breathing quickened. That invisible psychological pressure made them anxious and fearful. Only Zhao Feng's expression remained the same, and he could still be considered calm. Chen Feng, you're too useless. You can't even control these three brats. Ji Fengyun shook his head. Chen Feng let out an embarrassed smile. He was extremely respectful toward the two inner disciples. In the Broken Moon clan, the top 20 outer disciples were trained as substitute inner disciples and the treatment they received was far better than normal outer disciples. He knew the strength of the two in front of him. Putting aside Ho Yuan who was ranked 4th, even Ji Fengyun would only need 2 or 3 moves to defeat him. There's no rush right now. We don't want others to laugh at us for bullying the new disciples. We'll slowly deal with them after we're done. Ho Yuan's voice was low and he couldn't even be bothered to look at Zhao Feng and company. On the other hand, Ji Fengyun inspected Zhao Feng and co with interest. The three youths hadn't even broken through to the 9th rank and one of them was able to defeat Chen Feng, who was at the peak 9th rank. This surprised him. Ho Yuan and company slowly walked towards where Zhao Feng and company were staying. They walked around the area before leaving. The nearby outer disciples let out a long breath. They were filled with respect and even fear towards the substitute inner disciples. This was especially so for Ho Yuan, who had apparently challenged an inner disciple at the ascended realm. A peaceful day passed by quickly. The next morning, the clan's task for the new disciples was passed down. All new disciples, come out. A vice-deacon from the External Affairs Division arrived with a dignified expression and gathered everyone. Task. The new disciples' hearts tightened as they quickly walked out of their rooms. Soon. With Xiao Sun, Yun Mengxiang and Lu Yu'er leading the 21 new disciples, they gathered together. Zhao Feng realized that Xiao Sun's cultivation had reached the peak 9th rank. Yun Mengxiang and Lu Yu'er were both at the peak 8th rank and were about to reach the 9th rank. The cultivation of these three people increased so quickly. Zhao Feng was slightly surprised. Lu Yu'er's talent was the highest, so it was understandable for her to increase so quickly. On the other hand, Yun Mengxiang and Xiao Sun both had middle-tier spiritual bodies, which were close to high-tier spiritual bodies. Zhao Feng's left eye was very sensitive and he could sense the aura of pills and treasures from Yun Mingxiang and Xiao Sunday. He immediately realized that these two had extraordinary backgrounds. One was the princess of the Cloud Country and the other was the disciple of the #1 hidden clan in the Cloud Country. Both of them had deep connections with the Broken Moon clan. Lu Yu'er's eyes coincidentally met with Zhao Feng's and she seemed to be mocking and provoking him. Before the clan's examination, Lu Yu'er was already unhappy with Zhao Feng's cold gaze. During the talent test, Zhao Feng's pretentious performance had shocked both her and Lord Sangtie. In the end, she realized that she had been tricked by Zhao Feng. This person was just putting on an act and he only had a low-tier spiritual body, which was very normal in the clan. Facing Lu Yu'er's gaze, Zhao Feng shamelessly blinked his eyes as if he didn't know what was going on and thought that he was just having fun. This guy's talent is average, but he's so shameless and arrogant. Lu Yu'er stomped her feet in anger as her face turned slightly red. She thought in her heart and ignored him like he was a frog at the bottom of a well. But every time she thought of Zhao Feng's performance, she would feel a surge of anger in her heart. Next, I will announce your positions. The deputy deacon's eyes were cold as he looked around. The crowd instantly became silent. Although the deputy deacon's strength and position weren't as high as the main deacons, they still surpassed most inner disciples. Zhao Feng's left eye suddenly looked towards a house a few miles away. On top of the house sat 3 people. Ho Yuan and Ji Fengyun, who he had seen in the day, were both here. The one in the middle was a handsome male wearing a black robe, Quan Chen. It's going to be fun now. Deputy Deacon Wang and my master are friends. I only need to give him a hint and he won't give them good positions. Quan Chen said casually, as if he was an outsider enjoying a good show. At this moment, the positions of the deputy deacons were announced. Princess Yun Mingxiang was sent to the Grasswood Division to learn from a pill master elder in the clan. This was a job that made people envious and jealous. Following that, Xiao Sun and Lu Yu'er were given good positions. All of this was within everyone's expectations. After these 3, the others' positions weren't as good, but there were still some that were good and some that were bad. Finally, it was Zhao Feng's turn. Yang Qingshan, you'll be a farmer. You'll go to the herb fields in the northern mountains to pick up manure, fertilize and irrigate. You'll need to complete 5 mu of land every day. Nan Gongfan, you'll be a porter. You'll go to the ruins of the Grasswood Division to carry all sorts of waste down the mountain. You'll need to complete 50,000 kilograms of waste every day. Hearing this, the rest of the disciples felt a chill down their spines as they looked at Zhao Feng and the others with pity. Zhao Feng also felt sorry for his 2 senior brothers, but this result wasn't out of his expectations. That's it. The deputy deacon put away the book in his hand. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.